Hi, friends! Welcome to Nature Check's Arda Campaign, the show where you come for the game and stay for the science. I am your host and DM, Sheryl. I use she, her pronouns, and when I'm not playing Dungeons and Dragons on a variety of channels, I'm a PhD student studying ecology at the University of Illinois at Chicago, and I just pitched my advisor a new paper this week, and she was okay with it. So, life is good. You can also find a backlog of videos that I've made about environmental education and other stuff on the Roving Naturalist on YouTube, and I promise eventually I'll get back to making more videos there. And you can watch me playing D&D on the first watch, where I'm an adorable tiefling rogue with a thick French accent. And Andrew, who was Mafak on here, torments us emotionally. Episode 11 will be published this week, and it is an absolute heartbreaker and features my character trying her best to save everyone's lives. So yeah, that's me. Next, there's Peter.
Okay, yeah, I was ready, and then I got distracted, and now I'm not ready anymore. But I'm Peter. I use he/him pronouns, and in real life, I do agricultural research, specifically looking at ways to make growing crops better and more economical for small farmers in the Southeast. When I'm not doing that, I take pictures of bugs and post them over on my Instagram, which please go like them. Please fight against the Instagram algorithm for me.
They're very good
Um,
photos.
Thank you. Yeah, and when I'm not doing that, I am playing Dungeons and Dragons, sometimes here. And when I play here, I play Cedric, the dwarven cleric, and he also uses he/him pronouns.
Amazing. Then there's Cindy.
Hi, I'm Cindy, she, her. I'm a science enthusiast and play an enduring engineer over on the Heroes of Awesome Constellation on the Weirdlings Twitch and YouTube channels. Here, I'm playing Nautia, the water method druid, also she, her.
And there's Nancy.
Hi, my name is Nancy. I'm an entomologist, which means that I study insects, and I live in Quito, Ecuador, where I'm conducting my own personalized tours of Ecuador focused on insects, ecology, conservation, local culture, all of the stuff. Come hang out with me in the jungle. It's super fun. Here in the not Ecuador land, in the Arda land, I play Kay, a roguish young woman who's also an Asimar, and we use she, her pronouns.
And you might notice that there are 5 faces on the screen again today. We have a special guest. So that's Kirsten, who's just going to introduce herself for right now, and we'll find out about her character when they appear in the action of the game.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'm Kirsten, and I study tundra ecology and herbivore ecology, studying reindeer and muskox and domestic sheep. So that's how I spend all my time, because I'm a master's student, so I have no time for anything else. So,
Relatable.
so that's what I do. And I use she, her pronouns.
There we go. And you all out there in audience land know that you can hang out with us in the Twitch chat. You can use your channel points to help the PCs or create chaos. Remember that Wild Magic Surge is always there, available for you. And you can check the reference section down below for the social media handles for the whole Nature Check cast, as well as a link to our Discord and our updated streaming schedule. It's getting close to the end of the year, but eventually we will have the 2023 gaming schedule coming out. You also know that you can find the video recordings of our games on our YouTube channel, which I am working on catching up with, and the audio versions on all podcast platforms. And with our announcements out of the way, I will roll the intro, and we'll be back real soon. And here we are back again. That beautiful music brought to us by our very own Ryan. Alrighty, now we'll dive into the recap. The northernmost part of Arda is much colder than anywhere you've been so far. A summertime tundra that is both expansive and hostile. You were greeted by a frightening centipede-like monster with a literal fire in its belly that almost claimed 2 of your party, save for the intervention of some mysterious spiritual force. Dispatching the monster, however, earned you some new friends, as a family group of Musken were grateful for your heroism. The matriarch of the group, Tanya, invited you to share their camp for the night and gave you some of their soft wool clothing to help you survive this climate for which you were not prepared. You had dinner with the Musken family and slept in your tent together through the cold night. It is now morning on Hiram, the 16th day of Palarun, and you are waking up in the Musken camp after 2 of you had strange dreams the night before.
So before we get into it, we already discussed our dreams though at the end of last session, right? We had that whole conversation.
Did you? Yes, I think you did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because no one else had heard about my strange dreams before.
Right.
Yeah, we grilled you on it from what I remember.
You were really judgy about me not sharing.
I mean,
sorry,
Kay y'all always
was...
make me share all my dreams, so I feel like it's a little hypocritical and also a little unfair to not share yours.
Okay, I mean, that's fair, Kay, but I feel like of all of us, you have the dreams that are most impactful on our lives and overall kind of like raison d'etre for being here.
I
right?
mean, yeah, unless you're like scary, creepy dude from the underworld comes and like murders us all in our sleep and we would never know because we didn't even know he existed because you didn't tell us.
Okay, fair. But there's not a lot of actionable information in any of my dreams, and I feel like terrifying unicorn beast is potentially something that might be relevant here in the near future. Yeah. So, does anybody have any like pro tips on how to kill a unicorn?
We don't kill it. It looked fine before it like went all crazy. So like maybe we just need to like purify it and restore the heart of the land or something.
Sure, yeah, maybe it's like that river we purified, right? You just shoot it with a bunch of lightning, and that'll probably purify the crap out of it.
It has light in it. Light is purifying from what I have read.
Self-cleansing unicorns. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that tracks. Okay, well, good. The problem solved itself. All right,
so
cool.
we have a plan. So let's
go. Okay, but our plan, to just recap, just for me, because it's still kind of early, is go like general direction of the volcano. Hopefully we can find somebody to lead us there, and then maybe try and track down these people who are like kind of worshiping this potentially scary unicorn.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they didn't look scary. Maybe it's a cult.
That would be cool. I
familiar with the subject? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Were the people that were like, hey, no, I guess we haven't really killed any cultists before or fought any cultists before. I'm ambivalent about the killing part, but fighting them sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will have a lot to talk about with like the religion and this stuff.
Sure. I mean, that we could go in for like a rousing debate, and then I could explain to them the error of their ways, and everybody gets to go home happy.
Yeah, it works so well on us, and we've been traveling with you for like, I don't know, 4 months now.
Yep.
So let's go find a unicorn and fix it.
You are still traveling with him for that. That's
but I have not yet been converted.
You're low down my priority list.
Ouch! You're low down on mine.
I wasn't even. This is so interesting. Wasn't even aware that you were trying to convert me. Is this kind of like a subtle thing you've been doing?
What would I be converting you to? No,
I
meant you're low down in my priority list in general.
Oh, okay. All right, fine.
Yeah. For clarification.
All right.
Well, I shot you in the back once.
That's okay. Yeah.
It was accidental.
I appreciate that perspective.
Is Nadia awake? I imagine she must be with all this noise.
I feel like it was one of those where she sort of woke up, started to sort of come over to join the conversation, heard the conversation, and then sort of disappeared again.
Yeah.
Wait, are we all sleeping in a tent together? I
Yes.
imagine this is just like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
pretend that I'm asleep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we discussed this. It's a 2-man tent. So it's like
Yeah,
Kay,
it's real cozy.
Cedric, Naughty.
Yeah, I had sort of
The two of them
imagined
are-
Nadia being sort of curled up at their feet like a cat.
Oh.
So,
Aw.
like, yeah, she's probably down there just like.
Nesting on top of our backpacks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Super.
All
We
right.
should
Well,
probably eat breakfast.
that sounds like an excellent plan. Excellent plan.
An excellent
Yeah.
plan.
An excellent plan.
Excellent. Ooh, I wouldn't mind egg.
And there's a giant gross centipede not very far away, and it's already half cooked. So I mean,
Yeah, we didn't even check and see if it has any eggs.
it's true. Or is edible. Can you eat insect?
I mean, yeah, you can eat insects.
Well, I mean, can you? Because you like, is it meat? I don't know. I mean, it's meat-y, kind of.
I honestly haven't tried.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like it's only fair. It tried to eat me, so I should be able to eat it, right?
That seems fair. You should go see if there's any bits attached to it.
All right. That's our morning plan solved. Go find
Great.
some room temperature centipede.
Room temperature.
The room is like minus 40 degrees.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I was gonna say the room is. I mean, technically, it is the temperature of its surroundings. It's just that the surroundings are quite cold.
Well, it was really hot on the inside, so I imagine it took quite a while to cool down. But yes, here in the summertime tundra, it is the mid-30s Fahrenheit during, mid to mid-30s, sorry, to low 50s Fahrenheit during the day and below freezing at night. Yes.
Mhm.
Perfect. It's like hoodie weather.
Yeah. So are you in
Alright.
fact going to try to butcher this centipede thing you found?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to see if the Musken have cooked up anything for breakfast and see if maybe
Yeah, if
they're-
you poke your head out of the tent, Tonya has something warm, kind of like oatmeal-y type stuff on their fire, and she offers you some.
This, I'm not gonna lie, we were just talking about maybe trying to eat that big centipede thing, but this smells way too delicious to mess around with that stinky old thing.
Good. Glad to hear it.
I just incidentally though, have you tried eating them?
No. I've never I've never seen a freshly killed one, I guess.
Fair.
We try to avoid them while they're alive, and just not interested, I don't think.
That tracks. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have to admit I don't recall it being particularly appetizing looking.
While we're here, should we get like health potions and stuff?
Do
Or
you
we
guys
feel-
have any of those?
I have a
think
few.
we
I just
do.
don't know how many you
I
guys
didn't mean
ate
UK. I know
inside
how many
the-
you have. I was asking Tanya.
Healing potions. No, I don't think any
Healing
of us have.
granola. We got granola once.
N-
It's pretty good. It's actually much better than the potions. The potions taste like medicine or like gross, and the granola's actually pretty good. I mean, as long as you avoid the raisins, because like raisins are gross, right?
For what it's
Yeah, but
worth,
you
the,
have to
the potions
chew
taste
it.
like apples, but yeah. Because
He
an
doesn't
apple
like
a day
apples.
keeps the doctor away. Anyway. It's my fantasy world. I can make it taste like whatever
I
I want.
like it. But is
Well,
it like
Kay and I
sour
have something in
apple or is
common.
it like
we don't like apples?
Ooh. Like a good kind of apple, like not like Red Delicious, but you can pick your
Yeah.
favorite. Maybe like Honeycrisp apples, which are
Ooh.
one of the best kinds of apple.
Yeah,
I like
sweet.
them very much.
Anyway, no, we don't really carry a lot of things like that. I guess magical items, potions, granola of healing. That's not really. We're just. Like you get the impression both from like the way she's talking about this stuff and also just like you seeing like their camp and what they're wearing and carrying. These seem like simple people. I guess I was trying not to use the word like peasants, but you know what I mean. They're NPC commoners, right? Like they don't have
Yeah, really. Not carrying around hundreds of gold worth of magic items. That tracks. No worries. So as we talked about last night, we are going to try and head towards the volcano with we were talking about. So I think we have a general idea of which way we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Do you I think we discussed maybe trying to find a guide or somebody that knew more about where it is? No, you said you've never been there. Anything else you can tell us as far as like which direction we should head to try and meet somebody who might be able to point us to a more specific direction?
Trying to think about who I know who might be in the area. Maybe if you go fairly northwest, so like or northeast, like northeast, you might be able to. You might run into some people before too long. I hope. Up through the hills.
All right. So the hills, those hills, off in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So just kind of go up in that direction, and then maybe like kill another giant centipede and
if you have to. I mean, it is pretty easy to see for great distances here, so ideally you don't have to kill another giant monster in order to catch someone's attention.
that tracks.
Also, I get the impression that your friend, and she sort of like nods to Nautia, you can fly, yes? So I imagine that you'd be able to scout across the landscape for people walking too, right?
Yeah. Do it all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we've gotten as far as we have, because she can like fly up and see stuff, and then
Yeah, she really carries the whole team.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
She is strong mentally and physically.
it's true.
Like, yeah,
So I tell
she's
people
strong
about her.
all around.
Oh.
Strong mentally.
I mean, like, look at those guns. She's wiry, but she's strong.
What's a gun? Well, it's good that you all can rely upon one another, especially since, as you said, you sort of wandered into this new environment, not really knowing what to expect. But how do you like the clothes? Are they warm?
Oh, they're amazing.
They're so fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine like Kay has like a hood pulled all up and like it's fur around the outside, and all you can see is like her nose and she's
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely don't have anything this fine back home as far as pelts go.
Glad I could help. Is there anything else we can help you with? I really am very grateful that you got rid of that thing so that we can travel safely.
Well, hey, you gave us these nice furs, so we're gonna, or clothes. You go with clothes.
Both,
Yeah. Keep us so that we can travel safely without freezing into popsicles on the. So, I'd say we're even.
All right. Well, I hope the clothing serves you well and that your travels to the volcano are safe.
Thanks.
And,
Fun sentence to think about.
and she and her kids are gonna kind of start, packing up their camp like they're moving on. But what are you all doing now?
I guess packing up and getting out of here.
Okay. So are you going to follow Tonya's instructions and sort of head in a northeast early direction?
I mean, it makes more sense than not following her directions.
Yeah.
Okay. So you start hiking across the sort of plain of the tundra, but you were kind of close-ish to the hills anyway. And as you can see in the virtual background that I've chosen for today, in the tundra, even when it's summertime, there are often places, especially those that might be shaded and not get a lot of direct sun during the day, where snow still stays in patches. So like as you move up into the hills, you do see more and more sort of like patches of snow of varying sizes in, you know, crevices or behind rocks or on the, you know, the leeward side of hills and things like that. And as you continue hiking higher up into the hills, Nautia would probably hear it first, and then Cedric, and then Kay. But sort of this weird, like, not quite a rumbling sound, but just sort of like the sound of movement. And I'll need you all to make reflex saves as... I bet you might be able to guess what is happening here, but a torrent of snow comes rushing down from a hillside near you, where as the sun started to hit it, part of it melted, and we are getting an avalanche.
Uh-oh.
This place sucks.
This
Reflex?
place
Sucks. Reflex save, please.
15.
A 15.
Is if it counts as a trap, it's a 16.
It's not a trap.
Damn. It's worth a shot.
Nice try.
That's a 10.
A 10. Cedric, you look unhappy.
I got a 6.
A 6!
Oh boy.
Excellent. Well, everybody failed, so that's nice.
That's good.
So, you are, even though you hear this sound of movement, you aren't really sure what it is until it is right there upon you, and so this...
I think Nautia like felt the rumbling and was like, "Oh no, it's another centipede."
Right.
I was looking at the ground.
Fair enough. Yeah. So you're looking at the ground instead of looking above you, and this wave of snow just comes and smacks all of you, and you start getting bowled over. So now, as you are being tumbled down the hillside in this rush of snow and some rocks and stuff, I will need you each to make a fortitude save.
Oh, damn it.
Said fortitude.
Fortitude, please.
That's much better. It's 21.
Okay.
I got a 15.
I have a +4 to reflex and a +11 and +10 to fortitude.
Okay.
You get a 7.
Oh no.
I got a 15. I'm consistent.
All right, so only Nautia got a higher than an 18? Yeah, okay. So, whoa, that's... Come back here. All right, so... 6, 9...
Well, we had a good run.
Did we? When exactly? Against the centipede, or we got swallowed whole, or against the avalanche, or we got tumbled over? I'm curious.
Okay.
I mean, we did other stuff before that.
So, Cedric and Kay, you each are taking 21 bludgeoning damage, and Nautia, you are taking 10 bludgeoning damage.
Wow.
And then Cedric and Kay are also taking 5 cold damage, and Nautia is taking 2 cold damage.
All right. Well.
And Bjarte.
I think I might be unconscious.
I'm unconscious.
Yeah, I'm also
Excellent.
unconscious.
So,
I don't
sorry,
have
how many
pencil.
cold damage did you say?
5?
5? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
me too. 'Cause I
Okay.
didn't heal all the way
Oh.
from the battle.
That
so.
nice conversation we were just having about healing potions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
negative
Yeah,
hit
remember when
points
I
and
asked
whatever.
about that? 'Cause
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, we should," but I also
How-
didn't think I was gonna.
How unconscious are the two of you?
I'm at -3.
Okay.
It was okay. So it was 21 points of damage.
Yeah.
Right?
Plus 5.
And then
so 26
plus a 5.
total. Yeah.
I'm at a -6.
Oh, super.
Yeah, great. Good.
Awesome. Bjarte, you are on a hilltop.
The mountains suck.
I mean, Every time you guys encounter vertical surface challenges, things go terribly wrong. Bjarte, you are on a hilltop, not even like a hilltop, like a little bit of a ridge between hilltops. A few hills over when you hear this avalanche and you look down in the direction of it sort of instinctively and see these 3 specks of some sort of person get hit and caught up in it.
My first thought is, oh, who are these people? Don't know their way around the mountains.
How could you tell? Damn tourists.
I see it all the time out here, all these newcomers. So I think Bjarte, his instinct is to head in that direction.
We just lost a Nancy. Oh well. I'm sure she'll be back. The avalanche, she's gone. Just poof.
Should I wait for their return?
No, you can keep going. So you said you're gonna head in that direction?
I'm gonna head in that direction to try and lend a hand. Bjarte's experience with this, I feel like these avalanches are normally not going to be so difficult to navigate that I wouldn't be able to help. So I'm going to head down to try and aid.
Awesome.
The people who have been hit.
So as you are sort of making your way down the hill towards them, Nautia, you're still awake. You can make a survival check for me.
Okay. That's pretty good, right?
Should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry. 16?
Okay. So you sort of, everything comes to rest and you take a moment and you think about, because you're just surrounded by rocks and snow and stuff now, and you're not quite sure which way is up, but you pick a direction that you think might be close to right, and you can start digging in that direction if you'd like.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. So you will start digging mostly correctly. As Bjarte makes it to all of you. So none of them see you at first, but for the audience, what comes towards where the group has been run over by the avalanche?
So Bjarte is a fairly grizzled, old by Musken standards, sort of outdoorsy ranger type, right? Dressed in the traditional wool clothing for warmth, well-worn clothes, and boots for navigating this sort of terrain. He carries most of his implements are like wooden cups and things like this. And he's quite he moves faster than he looks. He looks like he should move fairly slow, but he's able to cover that ground pretty quickly as he approaches. He's got kind of a burly look, right? So he's kind of overdeveloped in the shoulders, quite tough, but is moving with kind of surprising speed toward them.
Is your little friend out and about or in a pocket somewhere keeping?
He's tucked in a pocket, but he's curious about why we're making such speed. So my little friend Bika, my dire lemming, is peeking out to see where we're headed.
Yep.
And sort of looking ahead and sniffing the air to figure out why we're rushing.
Amazing. So quickly. So as you get to the spot, make a perception check for me.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
Does he look like a person or does he look like the Musken?
Yeah, he's another Musken.
Musken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A person, Nancy? You mean
A
a human?
Just define a person.
Yeah.
He's a bipedal humanoid, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what was I rolling again? I already forgot.
Perception.
Okay. So I got a 9.
Okay.
Doing great.
Welcome to the
Very
curse!
good.
Yep. So you make it to the spot where you thought that those people had disappeared into the avalanche.
Yeah.
But but you're not really sure. Nautia, give me a strength check.
Strength
As you're
check.
trying to dig your way out of this crap.
Also, I'm assuming my bird friend is somewhere in the neighborhood.
I would imagine she... Oh, yeah, that's probably true, yeah. Oh, how we doing?
It's 6.
Welcome to Nature Check, where we run the
Everybody
players over
always
with
rolls badly.
an avalanche in the first 15
Last
minutes.
week, I could at least blame it on the fact that I was using the wrong set of dice. But no, this week they're mad at me because I used the wrong ones last time.
Okay, so
That's how that works.
We did talk about this a little last time, that like you your anatomy made it difficult both because of your size and your wings to find clothing that would fit you. So I imagine that even though you are still conscious, you're very cold and it's hard for you to dig.
Yeah, I was just thinking earlier before the avalanche, I wonder how Nautia really handles being cold because she's just made of water.
Yeah.
I feel like we have discussed this many times and come to like no conclusive answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the idea of a creature that is both alive but also water is hard to... Yeah. But yeah, so you don't make it very far in the digging yourself, but you're right. Arena is... She was following you and is now kind of like circling above the spot. Do you think she's shy, or do you think that she might approach the area even with a stranger standing there?
I think if the stranger doesn't look especially threatening, she probably would approach, like mostly looking for us and maybe not paying a whole lot of attention to the stranger.
Yeah. So do you have stats for Arena?
Because
I think she can do a perception check too as she circles closer, because she would like to find you.
Would love to find me, and I would love for her to find me. Perception is it's wisdom.
Yeah. The eagle's gonna save the day, folks.
Okay. She got +2 wisdom.
Okay.
Let's see.
Shouldn't she have like a bonus to perception because of being an eagle?
Yes.
Probably.
I kind of feel like maybe the eagle and my lemming.
Oh no.
Will perceive each other long before any of
yes.
This is the real question.
Like
is
two dogs down a long sidewalk.
How focused is she on finding us?
Right.
In light of a tasty possible?
Tasty treats.
Yeah, they have a +8 racial bonus on spot checks, so I'm assuming that's counts over toward perception. All right. Well, that's good because I just rolled a 5, so that's 13.
Okay. Yeah. So, and was that wasn't including the 2 for wisdom, so it's a 15.
Oh, is it a 15 then? Okay.
Yeah, so Arena does, like, she sort of, like, gives Bjarta and, I'm sorry, say your lemming's name again? Bika. So Arena sees both of them, but is like, I need to find Nautia, because you're her best friend in the whole world. So she does eventually sort of, like, circle down and land and sort of start, like kind of scratching with her talons and sort of, like, messing around in the snow with her beak, approximately above where you are, and you probably hear that. And Bjarta, you see this eagle, which is not of a variety that is something you see here in the tundra.
I feel like Naughty and the eagle finally have something in common in that they both look really uncomfortably cold all the time.
Yes, this eagle is not a species that belongs here at all.
Just like constantly super fluffed up.
Just really grumpy. But this strange eagle lands and starts messing around in the snow, and that gives you a good indication of where to start digging.
Yeah, so I think Bjarta's gonna follow the eagle's lead there. Start aiding in digging, trusting that the eagle knows what it's doing.
Amazing.
What it's found under there.
So after a moment or two of digging, you do come upon these very small bluish hands. I imagine maybe they're very blue now in the snow. And if you grab the wrists and sort of like pull, do you want to describe Nautia for Bjarta?
Yeah, so she's a being made of water. She's sort of oddly corporeal and has distinctly sort of fishy features. So, like, the eyes are sort of big and round, and she doesn't have hair. She's got like a fin sort of in the shape of like a mohawk up on the top. And if you can pull her far enough out, she also has wings. But at this point, I guess she's probably bundled up, so you probably don't see that. But like, she's got claws on her hands, and you can sort of see like more fins down her arms. And yeah, she's just blue mostly. She's just very blue. She's watery blue.
Even when she's not cold.
Yeah.
I feel like Bjarta would be pretty surprised by this.
Yeah.
But never seen someone like this before out in this neck of the woods,
But yeah, you've been freed from the snow now.
Yeah, so at that point then I was scrambling to figure out where the other two went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask, are you I saw that there were some other people. It looked like there were
There are two more.
Okay. So let's try and dig them out, I think. So
All right.
we're gonna try and find them to dig them out.
First.
All right, perception checks again. They are not making any noise.
Can the bird look too?
The bird can also look, yes.
Can my lemming, since they like to tunnel in the
Sure.
snow, can I have him
That
go? 'Cause
actually could be really
he's-
useful.
Team effort.
He has better
Okay.
perception than I do.
Use
what
the
did I
lemming.
say?
I
8,
like the
10.
argument for tunneling. Oh no. Oh
So
no.
the bird is
perception-
21.
The animals are the only competent rollers.
I am also
no.
21.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, my perception was a 4.
Oh, good.
Oh no.
But my Bika's was a 17.
Okay. Yeah, so Bika starts tunneling, and I think Arena, like you said, Bika is a dire lemming, so a little bit bigger than a normal lemming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine that Arena is like a little more than intrigued, and might be like doing that thing where she's like listening as Bika tunnels, and you start sort of like, again, because you are inherently water, the snow stuff is weird because it's like really unpleasantly cold, but also it is water. So I feel like you might be able to sort of like feel through it.
Okay.
And sort of like feel through it or see through it a little bit. And eventually, I think Bika runs into Cedric, and you figure out where Kay is.
Okay.
And so you're able to dig them out after a moment.
Start digging.
And
Yeah, and I think Bjarta's going to start basically following where Bika saw where he could not. And I'm going to start digging.
Yeah. So yeah, you start digging, and you do pull out unconscious Cedric and Kay. They look a bit bruised and very cold.
Yeah. I will. Can I give them the magic acorns even though they're unconscious? Does that still work? Yeah. So I'll give them each one of those.
Okay. That gives
From
you
Olana seed pouch.
right. That gives you 1 hit point. Is that right? Okay.
But that should stabilize, right?
Yes.
Then -5.
But more importantly, you won't keep dying.
Right, exactly.
And then, ooh, what spells did I pack today? I hadn't thought about it.
The important, useful ones, I hope.
While Nadia's figuring that out, Cedric and Kay, do you want to describe yourselves for what Bjarta sees laid out on the snow?
Sure. So Cedric is he's a dwarf, so he looks like a smaller than a Musken, oddly bald-faced.
Oh yeah, because he lost all his hair.
Oh yeah, your beard is short.
Yeah. So just like what you'd imagine like a oddly shaped Musken who'd been shaved would look like.
Gross.
But wearing, traditional, Musken,
Yeah.
Clothing. Yeah.
Oh, are you done? Sorry.
Yeah. Maybe somebody with mange.
Okay.
It's been rough out here. And you see what our track record is, so you know why it's so rough. So hey, I mean, I don't think you could see much of her because she's like bundled in all of this stuff. But I imagine like a little bit of her face is like peeking out from around this like fluffy hood. And she's a human. She has like these bright blue eyes, and her face is a little bit more frosty, a little bit more blue than usual, but she has like shimmery blue freckly skin stuff like around her nose and her cheeks and like up onto her forehead.
All right, Nautia, what you got?
Okay. Well, I should have enough room for cure light wounds. So I will I guess hit K first.
Okay.
Yay.
That's one. And that is 1d8. Plus, caster level means like the level, like druid level, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That actually is useful now. 12 points.
Hey.
Nice.
Positive
All right,
7.
and
Heck
yeah. All right, and then I guess I'll turn and do the same for Cedric. That one's 9.
All right. Yeah, I think as soon as you do that, like Cedric kind of rolls over, just Morin's beard.
So
what
cold.
is this place?
I do not like this place.
The mountains just beat you up. Where did this come from? What is this hellish landscape?
So, good point of order. Kay, you know what snow is. It snows in New Sagester in the winter. Cedric, have you ever experienced snow?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, not in a I've been above ground and I've seen snow and then I've gone back below ground kind of way.
Okay.
Like in the way like people who live in the southeastern United States can experience snow, where it's like I've seen it like 3 times before,
Yeah.
but like he doesn't know how to drive in the snow.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so these two people come to as Nautia casts spells on them.
Well, I think I'm looking around at these people that look very different. It's kind of an odd mix of people, like a kind of a
There has
ragtag
never
group,
been
right?
such a herd before.
Wait, did these all go together?
So I think he's
It's
looking
not
at
a
this
match
ragtag
set.
group and thinking like, who are these people? What are they doing here? But he can see that they're wearing clothing that was clearly given to them by other Musken people.
Yeah.
Like recognizes it, so knows that they must have been trusted by like another family unit somewhere that was passing by. So he's feeling inclined to like help them in whatever way he can. He's more of like a kind of more traditional survivalist, like wants to kind of look at make sure their clothing is fitting them right, that they're warm enough, because they look very cold and very miserable even in their wool clothing. And so I think I'm kind of checking them over and asking Nautia, who is the most lucid of everyone right now. So
she's
what?
the most strong mentally out of all of us.
Yeah,
Look at her.
right,
Not just the most lucid now, but
she's
always.
inspiring the most confidence in me.
Yeah.
So
Very fair.
so I'm gonna ask, what brings you all the way out here? Like, how did you get way out here in the middle of nowhere, basically?
Well, and she kind of looks over at the mountains and says, "We're trying to get to that volcano." And like you can see it in the distance at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so she
very
just kind
tall.
of goes, "It's a really long story, but we need to get to that volcano, and the ship we were on couldn't really go any further north because of all the ice in the water, so we figured we'd just go over land, but none of us have really been in the cold like this before, so."
Yeah, I can I can tell that you're not prepared for the cold and this landscape. And what I'll say about the tundra is that even though you can see the mountain, we can see that it's off in the distance.
Yeah.
We can see it, but the landscape can be really deceiving, right? Like it might look like it's pretty flat or pretty straightforward because there's no trees blocking your view, but the micro landscape can actually be pretty treacherous in the tundra. So
well, we ran into one of those giant fire centipedes yesterday, and that was really bad.
all those guys, yeah. Sure.
I mean, we killed it, but it kind of killed us too, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be really tricky to get around this area if you don't know it very well and how to avoid those sorts of creatures or landscape features that can catch you up. So, I hate to see anyone out here freezing and suffering. It's a pretty harsh landscape.
Yeah.
So if you would like some help heading in the direction that you need to go,
that would be amazing.
then
Yes.
okay.
I would like some help, please.
I see Cedric rolling on the ground, like in pain. Like, yes, please help.
I feel like
Is he
Kay
doing that
hasn't
sort of
really-
over dramatic, like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Kay hasn't really heard anything. She her eyes just flutter open, and like the light is coming through, and she sees like this big burly man with like the light behind him. She's like,
Aww.
"Are you our guide?" You can hear the angels singing with the
Oh my
mountains in the
God.
background.
Yeah. Well, I spend a lot of time out here foraging and studying the landscape. So, and I've never actually gone all the way up to that volcano, right? Like or mountain, or you're going to the volcano, right? So, I've never been all the way up to it. So I'm sort of curious to see what lies in that direction as well. Especially like I need to find more foraging lands. So, we can team up and maybe help each other out.
We will take any help we can get.
Yeah.
Clearly, we need it.
Kay is still like laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
just hang on for just one, and Cedric is gonna like go over and like put his hand on Kay and heal her multiple times
Aww.
for a total of 33 hit points.
Oh, yeah, that definitely brings me up to full health.
And then heal himself for 20,
Okay.
burning
There you go.
almost all of my spell slots. and just for your edification, it smells like burnt hair when that happens.
It's gross.
Oh.
Nadia's healing magic did not smell like burnt hair.
Yeah.
There's like
And-
even like a wash of like faint heat that you can feel like on your skin, your exposed skin.
Normally,
Oh, man.
Kay hates this, and she's like, "It's so warm." Like, cuddles up purple.
And it is a little interesting to see two divine casters, as it were, people with healing magic. That's not something that's super common. So
I forgot to mention to you that Kay is 17, so she definitely looks like she doesn't belong out here.
yeah, she's a kid.
I'm a kid. Little round
I think-
baby face, big blue eyes.
I think I'm feeling maybe sort of not apprehensive. I'm very curious because I've never seen people like this or seen spells like this cast, right? It's very outside of my experience, but I'm rather trusting by nature. I think it holds a lot of weight with me that you are already wearing musking clothing, that you've already encountered people like that they would share with you. So I'm kind of more interested. Like I find it very interesting, but I'm not apprehensive in any way. So I feel quite eager to help and learn more, I think.
So I apologize. I was in the middle of dying, and so I didn't catch your name.
Yeah, my name is Biarta.
Biarta.
Oh, yeah, I'm Kay.
Biarta.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Kay, Cedric, and
Nautia.
Nautia. Yeah. Great.
Do the mountains do that all the time? Is that like should we dodge the mountains? Is that a thing that you have to do here?
So the important thing that you should know when you are out in this landscape is to avoid slopes. I'll get very technical. Slopes that are 30 degrees or more, like steep. You don't want to be out on those under the snow if you can avoid it, because that's where that's more likely to happen. So try and stay on slopes that are not so steep, even if it looks like it'll take longer to get somewhere.
Good to know.
That
That
is
is good to know.
very, very good to know. It's very useful information. You are my new favorite person.
I thought I was your favorite person.
Yeah, that's why I said new favorite person. Hey, if you could come up with some useful information that'll keep me from being buried in ice, I will reconsider.
Oh
But
snap!
Ouch.
Well, I can show you which slopes to avoid, and which ones are safer. just based on how steep they are and how much sun they get.
That sounds
really
very
depends.
good. Yeah, because honestly, when you said 30 degrees, I didn't know what that meant at all. But I just kind of like
I can eyeball it.
Okay, yeah. If you could just point it out to me, that
Yeah,
would be excellent. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, so you're our rescuer, and you know ish where we're trying to go. This is incredibly convenient. See,
Yeah.
okay. I would say almost like serendipitous. Might even be like a sign that the gods are looking out for us. You know.
I'm pretty sure if
You're
the gods were
welcome.
looking out for us, they wouldn't have smacked us with the side of a mountain first.
But we
What
didn't
doesn't
die,
kill
and
you
now we're
makes you
aware
stronger.
of the issue.
Yeah, I don't like this god who would smack you in the face and be like, "Look it, I rescued you." He could just like not smack us in the face to begin with. Just
But
saying.
think about now you have a proper fear of the slidey ice
I had
things.
a proper fear of this whole place before we even got here. There was ice in the water. How was that not scary?
I'll speak for myself. I don't think
giant fire-breathing centipede that ate you. I am already very scared of the environment. I need no extra help. Thank you very much. And there's a demon unicorn out there somewhere.
So you admit it's a demon unicorn.
But only half the time.
I think Bjarta's gonna step in for a moment. He's kind of a no-nonsense guy, and he says,
We need him in our group.
Yeah, don't make me pull this hike around.
You need a grown up.
Yeah.
he says, I don't know much about gods or demons or anything like that, but I do know that as it warms up, as the day carries on, that the frost and the ice that is around, the frost is going to start to thaw, and the ground gets really spongy, and it gets boggy, and it can be hard to move through. So I'd recommend that we start finding some higher, more solid grounds.
You don't have to tell me twice. And she like jumps up off the snow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lead on,
Yeah.
Sir Guide.
So I just take that, I guess, as permission to start heading off in the direction of the volcano, because now I'm interested to see what's up there for my own sake as well. So I'm going to pick a route that gets us up again onto a ridge where you're sort of off the low spots where you're going to get a lot of the bogginess as the day goes on, and start heading in that north direction for the volcano.
Okay. Is there anything specific that you're keeping an eye out for as you're walking, or you just wanted to get the group up high first?
I think the important thing is to get up high, again, off of this slope that is proven to be a dangerous one. If there's been one avalanche, then there can always be more. So I'm most interested in quickly getting the high ground here onto something that feels more solids, and then start assessing the landscape from there.
Okay. Give me a survival check then.
Okay.
And what are the three of you doing? Are you just sort of toddling along behind Bjarta? Or are you looking for anything in particular?
Kay is using her umbrella like kind of like a makeshift walking stick and like poking stuff. It's like since the snow can apparently just like fall out from underneath you and the land might get squishy, she's just like
Okay. Always need a good poke and stick.
The umbrella's coming in very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 17.
Okay. Yeah, so you're able to lead them along a path that you were, an ideal path, I suppose, that you were looking for. Are the other two doing anything, or just walking along?
Are there any berries about? I think I'm looking for berries.
Let's ask the expert. You wanna help Nautia forage and talk about what kind of plants and foodstuffs the Musken know are available? We can even
definitely
take it out of character if you want.
Oh,
and do
no,
the
the
science
bell!
bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about tundra plants.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Musken
Awesome.
foraging and like the whole reason that Kirsten's here.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. There's a ton of berries on the tundra. So one of the most common in the tundra where I work, and you can find this in a lot of the circumpolar tundra, is crowberries. And crowberries, they're these really low, the plants look almost juniper-like, but but they look kind of like really small blueberries.
Okay.
A lot of my field gear is actually stained purple from these berries because they grow really, really dense, and they're low shrubs. So you walk with them, you sit on them. So there's crowberries absolutely everywhere, like dense carpets of them. You can also find blueberries. If you're really lucky, you can find patches of cloudberries.
I like the
which
sound of
are
that.
cloudberries are quite. Has anyone actually had cloudberries before?
No.
They're only
That's
found
interesting,
in
though.
like the circumpolar area. They're great. They've never been successfully like farmed. So they're quite expensive. You can buy them as jam in the States, but it's very expensive. But they're like kind of a foraging delicacy. They're these, if you picture like a blackberry, it's like a really big yellow blackberry. They've got more seeds than most berries that you would eat. And they have a really strange taste. Most people aren't really expecting it because they're not that sweet. They're kind of tart or sour and earthy, sort of. Most people would like the indigenous people of the Arctic, like the Sami people, they will have it just like with cream, for example, as like a dessert. So there's quite a lot of berries to be had. You can get wild strawberry as well. So berries galore on the tundra. And there's plenty of other small plants that you can eat too. Like there's flowers and saxifrage that grows and greens that you can eat. Mushrooms too. Mushrooms great for foraging on the tundra.
And of those things, what, if any, are part of like the Musken diet or a muskox diet?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out in my thesis.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know when the lab finishes in the next.
To be continued.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm analyzing. I'm doing metabarcoding of plant DNA and feces that I've collected from the fields in the tundra. So I'll know all of the plants that are in it. They actually tend to eat a lot more of like grasses than some of the other animals. Like reindeer are my main study animal, and they eat things like lichens and moss. And then generalist feeders like the sheep that are out there will eat more of the berries. But yeah, I kind of what I expect to see is that the muskox diet is going to have a mixture of like grasses and some of the berries, and then some of my other species might be more toward like the lichens and mosses. Actually, what eats a lot of the berries out there are foxes, Arctic foxes.
Cool.
They'll actually eat those berries. They're more omnivorous than you might think. So.
I mean, take what you can get, right?
There's something super satisfying whenever you find out, to me, like whenever you find out that like an animal that you think eats one thing, like eats another thing. Like when I found out that like deer will eat like baby birds.
Right, yeah.
You know, you're like, what?
Yeah.
So you're a fox is eating berries, just like, it's like, that's so
right,
cool.
yeah.
It's very Beatrix Potter, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm picturing
Yeah.
like an Arctic fox with these beautiful yellow-orange cloudberries just like sitting down
In a
with
waistcoat.
plate of those and a cup of cream and a waistcoat.
Right,
like,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
I want to ask, so you said there are sheep up there?
Yes.
Are they domesticated sheep or are they wild
They
sheep?
are, well, so I'm in Norway, and Norway every summer they release about 2 million sheep out into the outlying pasture, so out into alpine tundra specifically, kind of out into the hills and the mountains. And they just kind of roam and graze out in those habitats. So it's a really fascinating system. Whether or not they're bringing increased pressure to reindeer, which is like my main study species because they're red listed, they're endangered. They could be increasing pressure on some of the native wildlife. I'm not sure, but yeah. So the sheep are really big grazers in the tundra out here.
So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but muskox are sort of related to sheep, right?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
so
they're more closely related to sheep and goats than they are to like a cow, right, or to cattle.
Cool. So is that part of why you expect overlap in diet, or like you said you think they also eat berries like the sheep do, or?
Yeah, the muskox are a species that I'm really only curious about because they're an introduced species here. They went extinct around the Ice Age or extirpated, I suppose, from Norway. They were brought back. And now they're confined to this one area where we also have the reindeer and the sheep in the summer. And so I'm interested in their diet because, they're an interesting species that exists in this very small space, right? So we don't really know what they're doing. But I expect that because I think they're originally brought over from Greenland, so it's a different environment than what they were originally used to. I'm kind of curious if their diet has changed and adapted to this environment. So yeah, I sort of expect that they and the sheep are going to have a more similar diet compared to the reindeer, but they're all ruminants, so it's kind of interesting that no one's actually done this before. So we don't actually know. So
so it's not even like, oh, well, we know from Greenland and North America, and now we just need to know from Norway as like a comparison. It's like we don't have any baseline information.
There are people that have done some studies for muskox, but a lot of times they're looking for things like they're studying things like parasites and pathogens, and so they look at where the muskox are feeding, but they're not necessarily quantifying their diet makeup, right? And that's true for a lot of these animals. And where I am, the wild reindeer, they're going to have a different diet than the semi-domesticated reindeer that are also roaming around the tundra a little further north. So there's all kinds of management issues and questions about this. So what they eat is specifically a very interesting question. So I'll let you guys know. I'll send you my paper when it's done.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm surprised because normally I feel like with mammals we know so much and that basic information, right? What do they eat is figured out, and normally talk about that with insects, right? It's oh, we don't know what some of these charismatic species eat, so it's nice to it's nice to hear that mammal people are on the same playing field.
There's still stuff to find out,
basic. Yeah, even stuff that's just basic natural history. What does this eat? Question mark.
Right, yeah. And there's a lot of things everyone will say, oh, well, we know that the reindeer eat moss and lichens. And it's but do we know what percentage of the different things they're eating throughout the seasons? Because if what the sheep or the muskox are eating at the same time, especially because the sheep are only there in the summer in really high densities, and then they leave, and then did what they eat in the summer affect what the reindeer and muskox have available to them in the winter when accessing food is harder?
Yeah.
That's really the big question, right? Because they probably don't interact in space very much. Reindeer are quite shy. The muskox, it's so funny. I see them out in the field all the time, and they I've found there's also for some reason a herd of horses. It's roaming my study area, which I've had to account for all of a sudden. But I don't know. They're just there. But last time I was out there, I was looking at this herd of horses, and then I was well, that's a weird looking horse. And it was a muskox, just near the horses, a little further up the slope. So they're more likely to, I think, co-occur with other animals. But the sheep and reindeer don't occur together at the same time, I don't think. But they might overlap in space in different seasons, right? So that's that. But no one's ever looked at that before. So
really cool.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. Sorry to go on a tangent about.
No, that's what we're here
about
for.
my thesis.
That's really what we do on this show.
I also was hoping that you could tell to everyone else the story that you told to me about the reintroduction of the muskox and how that's relevant to how we opened today's episode. Because I was delighted.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot I told you that. Oh, it's so sad. Okay, well, so the muskox, they used to exist here in Norway. And then they all died around around the Ice Age. And it was discovered when the railway was being built that goes through the Dovre National Park. I live in mid-Norway, right? Okay. So I'm not in the Arctic, but I'm sort of halfway between. I'm fairly close. I can see the northern lights from my bedroom right now, actually, so I'm pretty far north.
Oh, man. I want to see those so bad, but I hate the cold.
Yeah. Well, it's nice because I can look at them all cozied up in my bed, and just watch.
That's the dream.
So it's still pretty far north, right? So when this railway was being built down through the line that goes through where I am, all the way down to Oslo, it goes through the mountain range, the Dovrefjell Sundesfjella National Park. And when they were constructing the railway, they found these muskox bones. They found these fossils. And Norway was like, hey, we could use a charismatic animal that's like representative of Norway. And it's like, well, we've got reindeer, but so does Sweden and so does Finland. And we've got moose too. People are always like, oh, moose, but then like the North American moose is bigger than the European moose. So it's like we don't even have the biggest one. So it's like, well, we need to have the biggest of something, you know.
Wait, is it a different species?
Like, yeah, it is. Well, it's like a different like subspecies. So the Eurasian moose is not the same. They look almost identical. The difference mostly is the size. They're still really big. I've encountered them here by my apartment. When I've been out walking, I've seen moose. They're still really big. Like, but anyway, they decided we need another big animal, I guess. So they decided to reintroduce the muskox, and they went and tried to get them from Greenland. And this was at a time when you can only, I mean, I imagine you can still only move muskox this way, right? Like over ship. But you had to go out in the middle of the tundra in Greenland, catch muskox somehow. These are big animals, and they're heavy animals. They're tough. And they had to try and get them onto a boat, bring them to Norway, bring them out into the mountains and release them. But muskoxen are really, again, they're big. How are you going to manage that? So what they did was they actually would go after family units, because that's how muskox travel. They don't really herd together. They stay in family units, which we saw in your meeting of them, right? They tend to occur in small groups. So they would find these family units. And the way that muskoxen act when they feel threatened is that they'll form this like protective ring where the babies will be in the middle, and they'll form this really tight ring with their horns out. And that's really good against things like wolves. It's not so good against guns. So so what would happen would be these, I don't know what to call them, hunters or poachers. I'm not really sure, but they would kill the adults and take just the young ones because they were much easier to manage. And they would bring the young ones here to Norway and release them into the mountains. But these young ones had never been here before, and they didn't have their adults to like teach them how to navigate things. Mm-hmm. So the population of that was being introduced to these young muskox kept being wiped out by avalanches, where like they would just wander into avalanches and die. It's really it's
like us.
It's yep. It was super tragic.
Yeah. So that's like a thing that they learn to avoid in their like that they as they age normally.
Yeah, I feel like it's just navigating the landscape is just something that they learn from the adults, like from their parents, right? You know, they stay fairly long in those family units and kind of learn their footing and their way around. So it took a few tries, and they did manage to successfully introduce them in the end. And then World War II happened, and they got wiped out again for food during World War II. And then they were reintroduced again, and that time the population stuck. We now have about 250 individuals in Dovrefjell. So it's a reintroduction, like a rewilding success story, but it's also a point of conflict because they are in this space where you have wild reindeer, and the wild reindeer populations are really, really struggling. And the muskoxen, even if they're not eating the same food, they draw a lot of tourists. Like a lot of people like to hike in the national parks to see, specifically to see the muskox. I get it. Like they're great. I love seeing them, you know, like they're incredible animals. But yeah, it's the effect that they're having on this ecosystem is still not really known. So it's kind of a crazy story. The ones here in Norway.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're very fun.
I
like them all the same.
I think it's interesting how the war affected their population. So I was talking to, I don't know if you guys know him, Peter Neskraki. He does like a lot of photo stuff for like the BBC, National Geographic, and he's in Gongarosa right now. And he was telling us about like the elephant reintroduction program and like how dangerous the elephants are in Gongarosa because they remember the last war. And so they're very aggressive against people, and like some of their like some of their conservation efforts have been halted or slowed, or it's been really difficult because the elephants are very aggressive against people because they remember the war.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, right? So it's like, I don't know,
how
it's
long
really
did they
interesting how,
live?
A long time.
a long time.
Yeah, right? It's like a long lifespan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like crazy to me how you don't, like, when we talk about conservation, you don't really think about human impact in like terms of war. You're like, oh, deforestation and pollution, right? But you don't think like war is actually a big factor.
Yeah. Well, and here in Europe, that's being studied a lot right now.
Yeah.
So that's something that a lot of people are looking into.
And there's just all kinds of environmental impact of conflict like that because, like, you know, these efforts that people were making in peacetime can very easily go out the window.
Yeah.
You know, because you said it was like they were hunted for food, right? During the war? During
Yeah,
World War II?
they were basically just a food source. Yeah.
Mhm.
And, you know, depending on who you ask, people say, oh, is the other side? It was probably both. You know?
It was people who were starving. It was
Yeah.
It was
humans
people
that
who were starving one way or another, right?
Mhm.
So, and it's interesting that you're talking about memory because with the musk oxen, that's actually a fear that people have had is that they'll learn that fear of people. So they do this population, although it's wild and it's not bounded by anything physically, they are very strictly managed and they're not allowed. There's that railway that I told you about, that railway line goes right through the national park, and there's a highway, the E6 also cuts right through it, and that kind of forms this de facto boundary, and the muskox are not allowed. They're only found on the west side. If they're found on the east side, they're culled pretty much right away. Yeah. And the whole point is they don't want this population to explode and get to a point where they really are out competing everything. But when they do their culling, what they have to do is they have to take out entire family groups, even if there's babies, because they'll remember. So they actually have to manage them that way. Some of them have escaped though and made it to Sweden, which is very funny. There's like 3 musk oxen just like hanging out in Sweden, which is really funny because then in Sweden they were like, hey, come check out our musk oxen. Like we're like the musk oxen country, just to like make Norway angry.
Our one
really
musk oxen.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
it's so funny.
I mean, you just murdered that muskox entire family, so they're like the muskox equivalent of like the Punisher, right? So they're like someday I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill everyone in Norway.
Yeah, exactly.
I just love the image of like a muskox like jailbreak, basically. Like, let's go to Sweden.
Yeah,
like...
and if you've ever like, well, you probably haven't seen a muskox run, but they look really slow and plodding, right? And this is kind of what I try to bring up with my character too. They look very burdensome. They can move really quick. Like I've been moving behind them because again I'm trying to collect their poop. So if I see one, I'm like, well, I'm gonna go get some fresh from the source. So I'm gonna head that way. And it's one of those things where the terrain makes it look like they're really close, but as you walk, you're like, oh, this is terrible. It actually doesn't take me forever. But they can just run. They can just run through it. They can really sprint. I think they can sprint uphill at like 35 miles per hour or something, which is pretty quick if you look at their legs and how like short they are.
Yeah.
Like they don't look like fast animals, but they're really well adapted to move quick through there. So imagine one of them like booking it across the border to Sweden. Like
the maximum,
it just tickles me.
Maximum speed of an adult is apparently 37 miles per hour.
Wow.
And they've got that super long, shaggy fur, so when they run, it like blows. And
yeah, it's really hilarious to like see
it's gotta be
when
a
they're
whole thing to
windswept.
see. Yeah.
So you said they're really big, but like I don't have a good sense. I guess I've always like been like, oh, they're deceptively shorter than you think they are, right? Like they're not like buffalo sized, right?
That's true.
How big are they?
I want to say they're probably like 5 feet at the shoulder.
Okay.
You know, I've seen some that are pretty big, but I've never been up close enough. I'm 5'2", so I'm pretty short. I've never been up close enough to one to like size it up. You know, I don't want to get close to one. They can be really cantankerous.
Not quite 5 feet at the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they like, so they're not aggressive? They run away when they see you. Like it's not like buffalo.
Oh, they can be aggressive.
Oh,
they absolutely
really?
can be. It's sort of like the bison in Yellowstone, right? Like it's that classic thing where it's like, oh, a nice big peaceful gentle giant until they're not, you know, and then they can just wreck you. You know, it's like that. You know, they go through a rut in the autumn. They get really territorial. I've seen the first time I saw them, I actually saw 2 males that were doing the head charging and the headbutt, and you can hear it across the mountains. It's so loud. And they, if you get too close to them and they don't want you there, I mean, there's no way you can outrun one. And the tundra landscape is really hard to move across, actually. Like the little shrubs and the hidden pitfalls and the bogginess that I've mentioned. It's actually a really exhausting landscape to navigate. There's no way you're getting away from one. I've seen people get too close to them. And there was a guy, a tourist, who was out looking at them. And someone had said, "Hey, you're too close. You have to stay 200 meters away." And he was like, "Oh, there's like these shrubs, like dwarf birch shrubs that are, I don't know, like 1.5 feet tall or something." He's like, "Oh, well, these shrubs are in the way." I'm like, and he did get knocked down. He wasn't seriously hurt, but he did get knocked down. So they're not animals that you want to approach lightly. I appreciate them from a distance. Right?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
But most of the time, like when I've seen them and I've wanted to like collect poop from them, if I walk in that general direction, they normally just see me coming and they just move. But I try not to disturb them too much. So they're mostly chill, but you don't want to be there when they're not. So I don't want to take that guess.
I have a question. So you said there's like 250 around individuals. Yeah. Is that like kind of max capacity or
it's supposed to be 200. So okay. I think they are actually like due for a call.
Okay.
But I'm not sure exactly what goes into that process and which ones they find. You know, I'm not sure, but they're already kind of over that capacity. And it's possible that that's an arbitrary number that they've set.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask if that was like based on, but
I don't think it's based.
Your research is trying to figure out this competition, then yeah, that might just be a number that somebody pulled out of a hat, right? Like
that's kind of my feeling, and I could be wrong, and I can look into it, but as far as I know, they just decided that 200 is plenty of animals for this landscape. You know, they cover huge amounts of area. They move in really small groups. So it could just be that they did here's the square kilometers of this area. Here's how many they are and how they tend to group. You know, it's possible they did that kind of math, but I don't think anything's been quantified beyond that.
I feel like I should have more questions, but I feel like I know so little about mammals that I know what questions to ask. What kind of insect parasites do they have?
That's a great question. There are a lot of people actually studying parasites of muskoxen.
That's cool.
I actually was talking to a researcher here in Norway who studied that specifically, because I was like, "Hey, do you have any like DNA primers that I can use?" Yeah. So I mean, actually, a lot of people have studied that, because that's another big concern: is can parasites move from the sheep, which are in very high densities? Can the parasites jump species like that, especially to muskoxen, which are more closely related? Because when I've gone out collecting feces, so these are not insects, right? It's like worms, roundworms, but like, I've been out collecting feces, and you actually cannot tell the species apart at all. You cannot tell sheep from muskox from reindeer poop. It's impossible.
Oh, okay.
So you can only do it by DNA. But sometimes I try and guess based on parasite load. Because theoretically the sheep should not have any, because they get wormed before they're released. But the lambs that they have in the season are not wormed. So I find a lot of wormy poop out there. And so people are studying like, well, it's right where all these animals graze, and if they occur in high densities, this is transferring through the population. So a lot of people study things like that, which is really interesting.
Are there botflies that live up in the tundra? Like, are deer in the States get botflies in like their sinus cavities?
I don't think, I want to say no, just because I have not heard of botflies in this area, and I have not seen them here. I feel like I probably would have. Yeah. I have not heard of botflies being in that area. I'm trying to think of any arthropods of interest that I have. I mean, really kind of the worst thing you have on the tundra, honestly. It's not that exciting, but the worst are the mosquitoes and the gnats. You know, it's in the Arctic, you would think, oh, it's so cold, there's not mosquitoes. Wrong. It's nothing but. Like, it's really, really rough. And biting flies and things like that. And I know the reindeer have a major problem with biting flies, but I don't think they're bot flies that actually, like, burrow in.
We have a question from the audience in the chat. How do the muskox handle the shock from the territorial headbutting fights? Are they actually territorial, or are they over mates, or?
It's not really a territorial thing. It's sort of a peacocking sort of thing. Okay. So like the males will break off from their family unit, and so you'll see solitary males throughout the landscape. Like last time I was out, I saw that one solitary one by the horses. Like you'll just see them kind of around. I don't know that they're fighting over territory so much as just trying to like win the attention of the females that are around. You know, I don't actually know. I know that the most I know about this part of it, and we talked about this a little bit, is that the only way you can tell in the field a male muskox from a female muskox is their horns, because they both have horns. But the females will have like this part, like they have like just a straight middle part through their horns that's quite pronounced. The males don't have that. Their middle part is almost like grown over because they headbutt so much that it has to be protected and not have the weak point. So you won't see this really strong part in the middle with the muskox, you know, and the females have that really strong, like we said, the Gen Z icon, like perfectly straight middle part and like the cute little bob, right? That you'll see in the females, but the males will be mostly grown over those plates for headbutting, and they do have thick skulls. But the physiology of that is something that there's another scientist on Twitter who specifically studies traumatic brain injuries, and the muskoxen are one of her study animals. So I would check her out.
And she might have been interested in coming on this show eventually too. So stay tuned.
So watch. So ask her all the brain injuries.
Watch this space.
What's her Twitter handle?
Dr. Headbutt.
Yeah.
Nice.
She literally just studies headbutting animals, like the brain injuries in rams and
which is
awesome. It's really cool. Like woodpeckers too. Like she talks sometimes about them. Yeah. So really fascinating stuff.
Interesting.
So I follow her. Everyone should give her a follow. I'm promoting other people's Twitters. So.
I mean, but you were just saying, so the males don't tend to like hang out with the family groups the same way, and Bjarte is also wandering, kind of
just wandering solo.
Yep,
he's solo. Like an old bachelor with a few battles under his belt. Hence why his perception's not so great. His low rolls can all be blamed on that.
Right. Might have a few concussions in his past.
His old headbutting days.
And I had another thing before we go on our halfway break. I was going to ask, could you, since we were talking sort of just about the muskox in general and survival stuff, the inspiration for the clothing that you came up with and talking about the different levels or layers of fur that they've got, since we were talking about them looking like funny running carpets before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, they're adapted to extremely cold environments. They're an Arctic animal. So they have 2 layers of fur. You have the really soft undercoat. That's the word I was looking for. Sometimes Norwegian comes into my mind first, and then I'm like, I don't know. So they have the undercoat, which is really soft, and I find it a lot in the spring when I'm out. I collect it. It's used to make wool clothing. Although I'll never be able to afford it. Although I've collected enough wool that I could probably make my own. But like, it's the most expensive wool in the world. I think we talked about that because it is so rare. And it's so warm that you almost can't wear it. Like if I were to wear a hat out in the mountains made from muskox wool, I would overheat. It's really, really warm. And then they have their top coat of guard hairs, which gives them that carpet look. I do find that sometimes I found like single really long hairs kind of in the bush, like in the shrubs. It's really coarse and wiry. And so that's
Sounds like
sort
my
of like,
apartment.
yeah. So it's kind of protection against the elements and against snow, while the undercoat is really what keeps them warm. And if you look up pictures of a muskox in winter, they really just have this glorious, like majestic, like fur cape sort of look. But then they look horrendous in the spring because they start shedding, and it's disgusting. Like they just like with all their fur coming off in clumps, and it's all matted up, and they're shedding everywhere. They look like they're falling apart. But it's a great time for me to go out and just start collecting it because they leave it absolutely everywhere. It's easy to find them then because they just leave trails of
trail.
fur. Yeah.
Amazing.
There are people that go out though and collect their wool to make yarn.
I found a website. It looks like it's run by an indigenous group in Alaska that makes products from muskox wool. They have 1 ounce of just like the raw fiber for $45.
Wow.
A 1 ounce ball of bleached 80/20 yarn for $70. And there was a tunic on here, so they'd, taken the fiber made yarn and woven it into a tunic for $660.
I was gonna
so
say,
yeah,
that's a lot of yarn.
it's expensive.
It's an expensive wool, but
Yeah.
and I think I want to say the Inuktitut word for it is kiviat.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing.
Yeah. So if you're ever interested in like seeing indigenous products made, then kiviat would be the word. QI.
Yeah, I saw QUIVUT
Yeah,
from this Alaskan group. So yeah.
So yeah, it's quite interesting to see what people make out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I feel like we've had a wonderful muskox science conversation, and this seems like a good place for us to go on our midway break. But audience, if you have more Muskwatch questions, I tried so hard to make a joke and I fell all over myself. Think about more questions if you want while we're on our midway break, and you can put them in the chat. But otherwise, we'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bye. We're back. Hello. Did you miss us? We missed you. Kirsten's sharing pictures of the northern lights from outside her apartment window, and we're all getting jealous. Good times. So yeah, we talked a lot about the muskin and muskox and animals in the tundra more broadly, and whether or not Nautia could find berries, which is where we started with all of this. I'm assuming because you wanted to forage for some berries and cast Goodberry.
I did.
Yeah.
Now I have 3 whole good berries because I rolled real bad.
Which kind of berries did you pick to turn into good berries?
Man, if I spotted those cloudberries, I'm definitely going for some cloudberries.
They're so pretty. It's like they're glowing.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
They look like wine berries. Like I don't know for anybody, like they have that like the light shines through them and they glow like that kind of beautiful color. Yeah.
They're like a foraging. It's like the jackpot when you find them.
I bet.
They are, and they're closely guarded secrets when people find them as well. So,
you best believe I pulled up the iNaturalist map to be like,
right?
Where's the nearest? All right, I can drive to Vermont.
A lot of times people will obscure those too, so you don't know exactly where it is. Yeah.
Did you all want to sort of take lessons from Bjarta on foraging? I know you said that you wanted, especially for poor Cedric, who needs to eat vegetable foods. Yeah. Or prefers to eat vegetable foods. So anybody who wants to can do a survival check, and Bjarta is helping you, so you can have a +2 to look for snacks in this new environment.
20 get you the cloudberries.
13 for me.
Okay.
I think that makes it to a 10 because I rolled a 4. Yes. 10.
15.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, between all of you working together, you can find some food to sort of round out your provisions for this walk. Yeah.
Naughty is adding to the bag of corp.
Yes. Bag of snacks. Are you all talking about anything as you walk, or are you mostly sort of like talking about your foraging and landscape stuff?
Yeah, I think I would imagine we're really picking Biarta's brain about any foraging related information.
I think Naughty is also asking what else we should be watching out for as far as threats.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be pointing out as we go. Again, we talked a little bit about the deceptive landscape. Something that looks flat often is not flat. It's just got this really dense shrub cover, and so there's lots of these little pits you can fall into. There's whole streams that you won't see. I've definitely got some wet feet hiking through there. So I'm kind of pointing out like how you can tell what is really solid ground and what might be like an ankle breaker as we go. So kind of taking this circuitous route to stay on like solid ground, because that's also where we're finding more of the berries that we want and picking things as we go. So I'm mostly pointing out traps in the landscape because that's the biggest hazard out there.
Awesome. And can the three of you who aren't used to traversing this is a very up and down and, as she said, like circuitous route, can you give me fortitude saves just to see how exhausted you might be becoming all this? Not that 13. You're strangers to physical activity, but you know.
I think because Nadia's also got...
You can also fly, though, so...
Well, not the way she's currently dressed.
Right, you're bundled up. Okay, so you gotta walk.
Got some slits in the back.
Yeah.
I'm still riding high coming off of that magical healing, so I got that 23 going. I'm feeling great.
Nice. Oh, wow. Ooh. All right.
Yeah, when the stakes are low, Cedric rolls high.
I got a 13.
No. Okay. That needs to be a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's a 24.
Okay, so Cedric and Nautia, you're doing fine. Kay, you are gonna pick up the... There's my thingy.
My feet hurt.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna pick up the K. So you are gaining the fatigued condition.
Oh no.
Oh yes. So you can neither run nor charge, and you take a -2 penalty to your strength and dexterity scores.
It's okay. You're a rogue. You don't need to be dexterous.
Yeah.
And nobody in this party needs to be strunk, ever. Never.
Yeah.
Ever. But yeah, the other two of you seem to be doing okay as Biarta leads you along.
I'm hungry. Cedric, carry me.
You do this every day, Kay.
She like flops over his shoulder.
Oh my god. You're so heavy. You must weigh like 120 pounds.
You just call me fat?
You're just too tall. Like, weirdly tall.
So like cold and wet, and my eyelashes are frozen, and everything is awful.
I love that feeling.
Amazing.
We'll build a fire eventually. Just like let's go at least one more mile, all right?
Okay. She's like leaning on her umbrella as she's walking.
Yeah.
Kirsten, I don't know. Have you like spent a night out on the tundra camping?
I have camped in the lowlands there. And there's also my university has a little cabin in the mountains that I stay at. Which is nice and cozy. It's pretty rustic, but that's the way I like it.
Yeah.
So I have been out there at nights. But I haven't like pitched a tent up near the peak or anything.
Yeah.
It's too heavy to carry up there.
I guess I was thinking like, is this the sort of environment where you can find fuel for like a campfire easily, or like how does that?
No, there's no trees.
Yeah.
So like there's plenty of dwarf shrubs. So the main ones are going to be like dwarf willows, and dwarf
We just
birches.
call them shrubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. But birch is one of the best ones though, because
Mhm.
it's the best fire starter.
Mhm.
But there's not really a whole lot to make a roaring fire out of. There's no trees. If you want to do that, you got to hike it in with you.
Mm. Interesting.
So fires, you know, if maybe Bjarta is listening and thinking, oh, they want a fire. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's that might not be in the cards.
Well, I was wondering because you had said like, oh, the ground gets boggy, so I wasn't sure if there's like peat or like other things that you could burn that might not be what a fire that everyone would normally picture as a fire.
Right?
But, like,
Yeah. You could probably build a small fire, and like, I mean, there's plenty of lichens and things that I think would go up in a flash. But sustaining like a campfire, probably not.
Yeah.
Generally, if you want to get warm, fire would not be the way to do it. You find rocks that you can get underneath. So like there's often like when I've been out in the cold and I need a break, then you just find a windbreak and a big rock and try and get underneath. And it gets surprisingly warm because your body heat builds up in those spaces, right? So that's usually what you do that's what and if you didn't bring in firewood, then that would be the way to get warm.
Nice. So is that the sort of place that you might lead them to as the
sun
I'd be
gets
looking
lower in the sky? I'd be looking for a windbreak, and also I'm kind of keeping my eye out maybe for anything we might be able to use as a break from the sun, because everyone's talking about being cold, but you have this double whammy of it being really cold but also direct sun with no shades.
Yeah.
You will get so badly sunburned.
They're all pretty tan. Well, Nadia's not tan, but the other two are pretty tan at this point.
Okay,
yeah. We were just in the desert like a week ago, so
so you're seasoned to the.
They have been exposed to much sun.
Quickly building up that leathery patina.
Right, yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah,
what you so maybe
answer.
maybe I'm scoping everyone out and being like, okay, maybe the sun isn't our biggest concern. Maybe it's the warmth.
Yeah, you were in the desert, and then you went back to the city, and then you were on a ship where you're going to get exposed to the sun, and then you came here. Yeah,
my skin is jacked.
To moisturize.
Yeah.
So although I'm looking for. Go ahead.
Actually, I'll say like the bottom half of my face is probably bright red.
Oh yeah,
it has never experienced like since I don't know.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna say 20 years. It has not seen the light of day, and now it's fresh and new.
But it is growing in slowly.
As a survivalist, I think I would offer to my travel companions, kind of like the neck, like the gator sort of thing, like a wool gator, because. I mean, out of character, I have to wear that in the mountains because I learned the hard way. I get out there in the snow. I've actually sunburnt the roof of my mouth.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Which sounds impossible, but if you are not a strong hiker like me and you work in the mountains and you mouth breathe and the rays are like reflecting off
of the snow?
To the snow.
Into your mouth.
You get angles.
You can get sunburn in the roof of your mouth.
The more you talk about the cold in the north, the happier I am that I moved to the equator.
It's like I'm
Don't be wrong, it's great, but like
now I'm thinking about getting a sunburn on like the inside of my nose too.
Oh,
it's crazy. Like I've never experienced sunburn, and I did field work in the Bahamas too, right? But I have never experienced sunburn the way I have here in the tundra.
Yeah, because it's so highly reflective.
And it's also when I work in the summer, you've got 24-hour sunlight. So.
Right.
Oh,
and the higher you go, the thinner the air is. And when I was living and working at 9,000 feet above sea level, like it's easier to get a sunburn because not as much UV is being blocked by air particulate and whatever. So yeah. Whoa.
So I think I'm
curious
seeing
about skin cancer rates in those areas. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But maybe I'm seeing Cedric turn a little bit red in the more tender part of his face. But also, especially since I'm seeing that people might be getting a little bit tired too, and you start mouth breathing, like having those gaiters can actually really help kind of retain warmth and also make you feel less fatigued from the sun.
Hey,
so
dragon.
I'm probably,
Yeah.
I probably have all kinds of wool scraps available to like tie around and offering that up to
Nice.
my travel mates as we go.
It's also
Some
a
extra
good
coverage.
It's also a good point about mouth breathing. Like that's a great way to lose like more moisture, and I think a lot of people forget to hydrate when it's cold out.
Yep.
But like you're still working hard and still like using up a lot of the water in your body. So
Yeah.
luckily,
especially people from places like where I'm from,
Right.
where like we don't see snow, who go skiing and then go like exert themselves in the cold in this bright sun and then come back just wrecked because they've No, there were.
the air is
I remember
dry.
in high school having an argument with another girl on swim teams. Like both of us grew up spending all summers out in the sun, and she was just like, "But you can't get sunburned when it's cold." It's like, honey.
Well, that's not how that works.
I can get sunburned on a cloudy day, so
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. But yeah, luckily for you guys, Nautia has the ability to, I guess Cedric does too, technically, have the ability to refill your water bottles whenever you need, or your water skins. Yeah.
Yeah, not today.
No, but you do, like, you have access to the spell.
Yeah.
If you
I
need
can
it.
today.
If I don't have to burn it on
Healing
keeping
people?
us alive.
Yeah. I mean, you
I did
know.
take that.
Can I although this is more of like pulling this from my experience in Norway than in general. We'll
Go
see
for
if it
it.
applies to Arda. But the streams in the tundra where I work anyway are you can drink water from it straight. You don't have to
it's all
filter
snow
it.
melt, right?
Yeah. It's not like glacier water or anything that's got all kinds of horrible nasties in it. So
Yeah.
and we also don't have things like Giardia. So
Yay.
nice.
Must be
Yeah.
nice.
So drinking from streams in the tundra is often quite safe.
That's super cool.
I do it all the time.
That is
So
very cool.
so I can always help point out places to get drinking water as well.
That's smart. You did mention the 24-hour sun before. That is something that is not true in the Arda tundra. So this continent lies maybe the northern part of this continent is not actually that far north on the planet. And so the tundra in Arda still has like a day and a night with the, dark sky. So yeah, it's artificially cold here, I guess. It is far colder here than the latitude and the altitude would make you think. But that's
Magic.
because it's a land of, well, it's a world of magic, and this entire continent was sort of engineered.
There's a reverse Gulf Stream.
No, this entire continent was sort of engineered or put into motion by these gods of nature. So it has all of the kinds of ecosystems you could find on it, regardless of the latitude. So
Cool.
Yeah, so eventually the sun will get a little lower in the sky, and it sounds like maybe you'd try to find like a rock outcrop or something for you all to find shelter under. Is that the ideal?
Yeah, and I think anytime that we want to take a break, like to eat or anything like that, then I'm looking for that as a break from the wind and the elements. Yeah.
Okay. Give me another a survival check, just to see how well you do at finding that kind of stuff, to help your new, very green or very red, as the case might be, friends.
Right. So I gotta look at my character sheet stuff here.
And you
15.
have 15. Okay, yeah. So you're able to find, maybe not like the super coziest or most spacious, like the four of you kind of have to cram in together, because again, Bjarta has very broad shoulders. But yeah, you're able to find adequate shelter for you all every time you need. And you have been taking this sort of northeasterly direction through the hills, and you've now sort of entered the mountains, so you're doing even more of this kind of like up and down, or like up and across, like saddles between peaks and down. So yeah, it's definitely, Kay is feeling fatigued, but by the time the sun is getting lower and you're looking for that sort of like last shelter of the day, you all are ready to sit down. For a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when I suffered life-threatening injuries like several hours ago? Yeah. then to cross the tundra? Yeah. Very excited to sit down and eat some lukewarm lichen.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope everyone's looking to make sure we're not on a 30-degree slope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at. It's like being like, what about that?
Yeah.
What about that one?
Yeah, because there's definitely
Is that a good
more
spot?
snow up here now that you're in the mountains as well. Yeah.
I feel like Kay just plops down and like cries, and she's like, "Remember when I thought the rainforest was awful?
Yep.
I want to go back to the
Every
rainforest."
ecosystem.
I think Bjarta sees this distress, right? And he knows that it's a tough environment. He's lived out here for a long time. He's not really used to crying.
Crying
17-year-old
girls.
I think
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite used to it, so he wants to help, but he's not really sure what to do. So I think he wanders off and he tries to find maybe like some cloudberries or something as like a nice little treat or something to try and
pat.
It's like, yeah, exactly.
Typical middle-aged bachelor
Yeah.
interacting with a teenage girl. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, Kay's in like a little ball, like sobbing, and like all you can see is like her hood, like pulled up in this little ball, and you see like,
Yeah.
and
I think
like,
Bjarta-
kicks every now and then.
I think Bjarta is more
like her sleeve come out with like it over her arm,
God.
like rubs at her cheek and like curls back her. It's so cold.
I think I'm feeling more concerned with the survival implications of someone losing a lot of moisture through crying and like, exhausting themselves through crying. So I kind of want to try and fix that situation best I can. I don't really know what to do. All I know how to do is forage and navigate. So, so
it's okay. She does this all the time. It's not a.
Okay, she does this all the time.
She do this all the time in the mountains, potentially getting hypothermia.
I mean, yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the last time we were in the mountains, yeah.
She had a really good reason to cry the last time you were in the mountains.
True story.
Yeah, right?
So I'm curious then, hearing some of these like hints at some of these stories, and I still haven't really gotten an explanation for why we're going to this mountain, because I want to go there in this direction anyway to explore. So if we're kind of warming up and just settling in for the night, I ask, so maybe I don't ask Kay. I kind of turn away from Kay.
No, I was gonna say if there's anything
and,
that'll shock Kay out of crying, it would be
Kay dump.
K-dump.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna ask like, what are you guys looking for anyway? You don't seem, like you're used to this sort of environment. So what is why is it so important for you to get across here?
You see like Kay like uncurl a little bit. She's like, "You're looking for these stupid temples because apparently I'm the stupid chosen one that has to unlock these stupid temples so we can bring back the stupid gods. And they can make maybe this hellhole of a mountain less like a hellhole of a mountain, no offense. But we're trying to find a temple so we can, like open up the beacon of light, so says Cedric, and maybe bring the gods back." She just like curls back into a ball. She like uncurls and she's like, "They all kind of look the same. This one, I had a dream. This one's in the mountains, which is why we're looking in the mountains. Normally I got like a weird feeling. I don't have a weird feeling. There might be a possessed unicorn in it and like some cultists. I'm not really sure, but we have to go there anyway. So we'll figure it out, I guess." Just like.
So Bjarta, he's listening to this and he sort of reiterates, I don't know. Again, I don't know a lot about gods or demonic unicorns, but it's interesting that you mention a temple and a unicorn because I've heard.
Yeah, that's what the last group said. They said that they heard the temples are like usually not like plastered on the side. They're not like, "Here's a temple, come enter." Like one of them was like filled with flowers and only opened on the full moon. And one of them was in like the ruins in the desert, and we had to go through like the jaws of death to go find it. Then there was one, and like when Cedric died, we had to like drag his corpse up this giant mountain, and like it was built into the side of this cliff face, and only like the bird raptoran people knew where it was, and that sucked. And one of them was hidden in the middle of like the deepest, darkest part of the rainforest.
One was underwater.
Yeah,
One
you forgot
was
about the underwater one.
Well, it sounds like you've been through a lot. I don't know anything about all these different temples. That's outside of my
I'm not even
experience.
religious.
Me
Like,
neither.
girls back
Me
into
neither.
the ball.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm pretty religious, and this is all still very new to me. So it's been a journey. I could say that much, I suppose. I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but
So, are you looking then for this other temple?
She
yeah.
like gives like a thumbs up from her little ball.
Because I have heard in passing from some of the other Musken families as we've crossed paths here in the mountains that I guess a unicorn, as we have said, as I believe you said. I don't know anything about demonic unicorns, but I have heard that a unicorn has taken up residence in one of these temples.
So
And that the Musken have had good encounters.
Okay.
that's
Oh,
good.
it sounds like maybe that's what you're maybe that's what you're looking for. It doesn't sound very demonic to me from what I've heard.
We would prefer it to not be demonic. That is not something that we are into. Kay had a dream, and Kay has special dreams given by the gods, which have proven to be pretty accurate at foretelling the future. And apparently it was pretty intimidating in the dream. So
It didn't start off intimidating. She uncurls rapidly to shout.
Like an armadillo.
Was fine. At first, they like did the normal sacrifice thing, and it went poof. And then when the unicorn noticed me, that's when it got all like angry and scary looking. So maybe it's just me. So I don't know.
I should clarify that sacrifice thing is not as scary as it sounds. It's like
It's not. We dump like berries into these big troughs, and then goes whoosh and disappears in like a bright flash of light.
What if we did all that many berries?
Oh man.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to think of something. Maybe the other Muskin people who are in the temple like already know of a good sacrifice thing to put in the trough, so we don't have to think about it this time. She like curls back.
Sorry, that's not important information. But so you've heard good things about this unicorn in this temple. That's very promising.
Only in passing. It's not something I've given much thought to. I'm not a religious person. I'm not much of a believer in such things. But everyone that I've heard from people again passing through the mountains have said that it's been benevolent, that they've had good experiences, and it's provided them with gifts. Yeah,
Gifts sounds good. Yeah.
Well, they specifically said the gift of foresight.
That sounds like
which
a very
is sounding
good gift.
familiar.
Yeah, I mean not familiar, but I mean good.
Yeah.
Kay, I guess you could say that these visions she has are kind of like the gift of foresight.
Well, yeah, that's what made me think of it. Like, I've heard very little other than people saying that this unicorn creature has bestowed this upon them, to the Muskin people that it's encountered.
If only my foresight could predict the mountain just falling down. I would like to reject my gift and ask for a better version of it.
Okay, you can do that at the next temple, Kay. So, I'm not sure. And as you've said, you're not particularly religious, and I don't know if the majority of the Muskin are. But some of the people that we've encountered so far in Arda have made the association between Alana and unicorn imagery, or that there's is that a story that your people tell? Do you have any stories about Obadhai or Alana?
Biarta sits and thinks for a little while. His brain doesn't work the way it used to. So he's trying to remember. And he says, Alana, that sounds familiar. Yeah, that sounds like there's an association between this deity Alana and the unicorn. And I can't recall any specific stories that's been passed on. Again, if maybe some families have some tradition or history of this or oral storytelling, but we don't really interact with each other very much. So, maybe other Musken people would have information on that. But I'm not familiar, other than there is that association and that this unicorn has appeared, and the Musken people that have had encounters have all had good experiences. Sounded like a bunch of hogwash to me, but
I will tell you, a lot of the stuff that's happened to us kind of sounds like hogwash. If it hadn't happened to us, I don't know that I would believe it.
Bjarte,
well, your story's piquing my
weird.
curiosity.
I was going to say, Bjarte, you did hear them say at one point recently that Cedric died.
That's true, yeah. So at this point, maybe I'm a little bit more open that maybe these stories that my fellow nomads have have told me in our encounters, maybe there's something to it. So now I'm kind of curious because I wrote it off, but I also would not have expected to meet 3 people such as yourselves.
No one expects to meet 3 people such as yourself.
So maybe there's something to it, maybe there's something to this story, and it can't possibly be a coincidence that I've heard these stories about this unicorn in the temple. And now you're saying that your story lines up the same way. So
see,
maybe that's
yeah. CK, not a coincidence. It's almost enough to make you think, maybe some guidance.
I mean, like we've seen like signs that maybe the gods aren't totally gone, right? I mean, that's sort of what we've been doing.
Oh, yeah. She's like curls tighter into a ball.
Kay's a bit of a skeptic.
Yeah, and I think all Bjarte can say is, I've never known a world of gods or.
See, that's what
magic.
I said.
I've only
never
known.
helped me. I've never noticed them. They've like, where the hell where were they when I was just like a street kid dumped on the side of the road?
They're gone though. That's the thing. Like, we got split off. They were here and then they weren't.
Yeah, but you're old enough to remember when they were and when they were not. They just have never been my entire long 17 years on this planet.
Yeah.
Well,
but
they
like
did.
Maybe they can be back.
Yeah,
I mean, they wouldn't be back for me. They would just suddenly exist. I haven't known a world where they've existed. It all sounds like BS to me personally. Except for now I have these weird dreams and like can apparently send off sacrifices in these temples.
And we've gone to those temples and we've gotten gifts in return, and like
we had a blessed crab for a while. Did we tell you about the blessed crab?
There you go.
Carl.
Yeah.
But we didn't think he'd be able to survive out here, so we left him on the ship. But he was a very handsome crab. We found him. Well, because like in the temples, there are like these pillars, and you have to like stand on the pillar for the magic to activate. And we thought like we used to have another person in our party, and so we would all stand on the pillars. But then he had to leave to go to Tenebria, so that way he could, research stuff. So we thought that we needed a being to put on the pillar, so we got a crab. And now we think the crab is blessed. He might start his own cult.
So Bjarte, he's sort of processing all this information, and you'll notice it takes him a long time to process his thoughts. Again, you can see that his horns have some cracks, they're well worn. It takes him a little longer to sort of put things together, and he takes a sip from his wooden cup, and he goes, "What's a crab?"
Kay like rummages in her backpack and she like pulls out her journal because she like drew a very beautiful drawing of Carl and all that time on the ship that they had, and she's like, he's like, about like that big, and look, he has like this fancy like mustache, except it's not really a mustache, it's just like, I don't know.
It's like a big bug.
Okay, we have wolf spiders, so
but they live in the
kind of
water.
like that. Okay, so like a wolf spider in the water. Okay, I kind of get you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely the most magical thing that has happened to us inside of a temple, right? If there's any proof that the gods' power still exists, it's definitely that crab.
No, you came back from the dead.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Oh.
I learned
too
it from
cold.
you.
I'm
I
too
learned it from
cold.
watching
Don't do
you.
this to me. You can see her like eyes like well up with tears again, as it's like just too much to process. It's like, you're so mean, Cedric. She like punches the ground, curls back into a ball.
I'm not the mean one. She's the mean one. Just for the record.
Bjarta doesn't respond, just continues to drink from his little wooden cup and
just like
observes.
Hey, Sheryl.
Hold on.
Yes,
I just
friend.
had a thought, guys. Like,
What?
when all of this is over and like maybe one of us gets married or we have a big party and we invite all these people to like celebrate in this big party, I can just see all of them just like, so how did you meet them? What was the first thing they said to you? And the Miram are like, oh, they broke our house that
Yep.
first time.
Amazing.
They dragged a dead guy in a cart up the mountain to our house.
Just rolled up with a dead dwarf.
Oh my god.
How can I help you,
I want
Cindy?
that to happen.
I was wondering, because I remembered you mentioning the imagery of like, sort of the magical vapor going into Alana's seed pouch when
Yeah.
I was saved
Yeah.
in the fight with the thing.
Yeah.
So was that something that Nautia saw?
Yeah, you were you were in that weird like liminal space between
Yeah.
alive and dead. And so, you know, in the way that people say they see a light when they're having
Yeah.
a near-death experience, that was like
But
what you saw.
She has a memory of that image.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like we talked about, it was specifically your magic that, you know, the way your magic looks. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Cedric mentioned that imagery from his dream, right? Do you remember?
Did you say that when you
Did you
were
talk-
saved from dying in the fight, that did you tell them that, or did you just tell them about how the seed pouch appeared in your dream?
I didn't tell. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Cedric.
No, I described the whole dream and said specifically that it had happened again mid-fight, I believe, because it had happened like twice now, or it happened
Well,
like twice, like back to back.
So the dream of like the clearing where now you saw the seed pouch, that happened when you slept the night following the fight.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But did you talk about how when you were saved from dying during the fight, that your magic, that you saw it again in that liminal space between life and death, you saw some of your magic go into the seed pouch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think I did. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think as we're sort of having this conversation, Nadia's sort of sitting there looking at the seed pouch and sort of remembering that image from her own thing.
Mhm.
And Cedric, did you
Hmm.
said you saw someone with this pouch, right? In your
Yeah.
dream?
Mm-hmm.
Because like when that thing was eating me, I think I saw it too. Maybe not the person, but like when I came back, I think that was involved.
Like the pouch brought you back, like it healed you or something.
Maybe because I felt like I lost a little bit of my own magic, but I was alive.
Yeah. No, I can actually kind of connect to that idea. Like I lost a piece of myself inside that centipede.
Yeah. I thought I was gone. Like,
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
for sure, because I just couldn't, and it was so hot. But, like, could something just step in like that?
I mean, sure. Yeah. I mean, the books, the scriptures are full of the gods, you know, stepping in and
Well,
meddling
yeah,
at
sure,
the
when you
last
were
moment.
here, but, like, do you think it's her?
I don't see why the gods might not have some slight tenuous connection still to us. You know, especially through an item like that that's connected to her, power.
Yeah.
It,
Because, I mean, I guess it gives us a new set of acorns every day, too.
yeah, they got to come from somewhere, right? That power has to come from somewhere.
So, like...
Conservation of energy and mass and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the unicorn could really be, like, her unicorn, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this might be the closest we've come to somebody who actually knows what's going on. I mean, it's a unicorn. I don't know. Can they talk?
I mean, I think I can talk to animals.
Good, you
Are
can
you-
talk to the unicorn.
Sure, but can it talk back? I mean, I can talk to Nadia's bird too, but
Right. Remember, Nadia, you can talk to animals. Did that work on the red parrots?
No.
You can't talk to magical
They were magic.
beasts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess if it's a magic unicorn, and I guess all unicorns are magic, right? So it would be like those asshole birds.
yeah, I'm not an expert on unicorns, but I do. I'm pretty sure they're mostly magic.
A
Yeah.
non-magical unicorn is just a rhinoceros.
Could be a narwhal.
Rhinoceroses are
Or a
pretty
narwhal.
magical. Yeah.
Okay, like
Don't trust an animal with
uncurls-
only one horn.
Right.
So, that's how Bjarta feels. Two horns are bust.
Hey, like uncurls a little bit. She's like, the parrot sucked. They could barf color and just like curled back into a ball.
Yeah,
It's color that hurt.
we've come across some really interesting animals in our travels.
I think Bjarta's just feeding some berries to Bika, who's like curled up next to me, like, I don't know. I'm not following it.
Oh, you've got a pet.
Yeah, my lemon. My dire lemon. Bika.
I just love that phrase.
Dire lemon.
Yeah.
It makes me very happy.
Just as an aside, like out of character, lemmings are the best animals in the tundra ever. I absolutely love them.
Well, now I want to hear about lemmings.
I don't have a lot to
Lemming
say about
break.
them other than like, yeah. Everyone needs a lemming break like once a day.
They don't run off cliff sides en masse.
They don't do that.
Mm-mm.
That was a manufactured.
Disney.
Yeah. They're really fierce animals, actually, for being like. I mean, they're also not as small as you might think. Like when you think of rodents, I saw one once, and it was like running away from me, and it was just kind of like a corgi butt, like the way they kind of like wiggle,
What?
like across
Aw.
in the tundra. No, they're surprisingly large rodents, but they're really fierce, actually, which is not something you tend to associate with rodents. But like they'll fight things, or they'll like defend themselves against things much larger than them, like foxes, Arctic foxes.
Wow.
They can be
Whoa.
quite. I think of them as quite grumpy creatures, actually. You know.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's an article, because I don't know what lemmings look like, so I just looked it up. And there's an article from Science Norway that says trout may be dining on lots of lemmings. You see lemmings swimming on the surface of the water, then it disappears. What happened?
So lemmings kind of have this like weird cycle. Like rodent populations will they have like boom and bust periods, right?
Mhm.
So if you have like
Mhm.
a big lemming population year, then you'll get really high densities, you get really big die-offs as well. So it's probably in those years when you actually see them like crossing deep streams deep enough for there to be fish in them and stuff. Maybe trying to just disperse a little further. I could see that. I mean, the trout here are really big, so and the trout streams are basically everywhere. So that's not really that surprising that they would get taken by trout in like the high population years, which happens every few years. I want to say maybe every 3 years. There's like a population boom and then they crash.
Huh.
But they're
They
like,
look like a hamster.
but they're like guinea pig sized. It said like
Yeah, they're pretty
5
big.
inches long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
the first
eat
time
them.
I saw one, it really startled me because I wasn't expecting it. I kind of forgot that they existed, like that I could potentially run into one until I saw one. I'm like, what is that? You know, I'm looking at big mammals, and then this thing runs across.
Nancy, did you say you could eat them?
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Like, we eat guinea pig here, so I mean, they're kind of just like guinea pig, no?
Probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Smaller though, right?
Guinea pig on a stick. I don't know. I haven't seen a lemming and guinea pig next to each other, to be honest.
The audience wants to know if tribbles are just lemmings without faces. I mean, they've got to be some sort of rodent, because only rodents reproduce like tribbles.
Right, yeah. But tribbles never actually have like a natural population crash, right? They don't actually have like...
That's true. They just
natural enemies,
they don't
right?
bust.
They, exactly.
Yep.
I don't know.
I think the idea was that they would keep repopulating until they basically starve themselves out.
Okay, yeah, so...
Okay, but they do have that like natural aversion to Klingons, right? So they have some kind of like
that's true.
prey response to the Klingons. So maybe there's some kind of like, I don't know, predation that happens.
Yeah, they're only natural predator.
Yeah. Yeah, each one is like 100 calories. You're just like triple kebabs.
Yeah. Tribbles are just like the potato chips of the tundra. Just like
oh jeez.
Yeah, tribal ecology is an understudied field. I feel like we really need to get on that.
Yeah.
But yes, the dire lemming. So like other dire creatures, it is larger than its normal counterpart and has some sort of like weird bony like ridges and spikes on like its shoulder and its spine and stuff like that.
So it's like a groundhog size?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, like a woodchuck.
Yeah,
or a muskrat.
Yeah.
But with bony plated like armor on parts of its
does it
face
have
and
like
its
little
back.
like forehead? You know, like little like.
Yeah, it's got the armor and the. So I'm just sneaking them little berries and bits of mushroom that I've foraged along the way, and just being like, man, what do you think about it? What are you thinking about all this? Where we should go next?
He just chews pensively.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
I feel like. Go ahead.
I found it. Lemmings are between 5 and 7 inches, and guinea pigs are between 10 and 12 inches.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
the
so
largest
smaller
lemming is still 3 inches smaller than like the smallest guinea pig.
Okay.
A foot-long guinea pig?
What it
Feels
says.
like a big guinea pig. Anyway.
A full-grown guinea pig varies in
terrifying.
size depending
like
on their
you gotta,
gender
like-
and also their breed.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, guinea pigs roughly range from 10 to 12 inches.
Wow.
Cool.
I'm just picturing like when you ever seen people at cat shows where they like pick them up and then stretch them out like this.
An accordion.
So I was just saying, like all the guinea pigs I've seen usually are sort of curled up.
Yeah,
so.
Right, but if you
true.
pick it up,
Ooh,
they
like if it
actually
was
like.
Sit up straight. Oh man.
Either Kirsten or Bjarta was going to say something. I don't remember what you were.
Oh, I think I was just chatting to Bika.
No, he's just chewing pensively.
What do you think? He's chewing pensively because I think his technically his like perception and everything of the environment around him is higher than mine. So his like base stats are higher. So sometimes I rely on him for his intuition, you know.
Yeah.
But I think Bjarta again. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Nautia has been sort of keeping an eye on Irena and making sure she doesn't
or eat him.
get any ideas.
Well, I think again, lemmings are quite fiercer than they look, and I think and they can kind of like hiss or scream. So I think if the hawk comes up too close, it'll do its high pitched scream and kind of hiss and bare its big rodent teeth. And
I think I'll just kind of give her I don't think so. I don't think we're messing with that one.
Yeah, I think Bjarta's not worried.
Hungry either, so she's well fed.
Yeah, that's true.
So Bjarta again wants to just cut to the chase, I think, and be like, "So are we going to this temple or what? Like, like where am I taking you guys?"
Yeah, that temple. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Bjarta, for reference, even though you haven't been to the temple, you do know that it's the entrance is kind of in like it's partway up the saddle between the Césaire, which are the twin sisters mountains, which are or the close sisters, sorry, which are near the volcano, but not like the temple is not at the volcano.
Right.
So these people have talked to you both about wanting to go to this temple and wanting to go to the volcano, but they're two different locations. Yeah.
Okay. And they're
These
both
people.
sort of on this like western side, like kind of.
Yeah. So basically, like you would hit the temple entrance on your way to the volcano.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like what we should be doing is picking a route that gets us to the temple on the way. Because I feel like it can't be, you know, I don't believe in divine intervention, but it can't be coincidence that I've been hearing these stories and I meet all of you today telling me similar stories. So I now I need to see with my own two eyes. So it sounds like that's our plan.
That sounds like a perfect plan to me.
Okay.
All right, well then Bjarta just rolls over and is
I was
like,
gonna say, are you doing anything else with your night, or is
Then
that
I-
it?
Looking started in the morning.
Good
Oh.
night.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna set up a tent. Just don't mind us.
Are you setting watches too, or are you just going to sleep?
Yeah,
Yes. What?
I would like watches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you normally like try to keep an eye out, or there?
He's got a lemming.
yeah, I've got my lemming. It has like it has a really good alarm cry. You should look up the way lemmings sound when they scream. So he's like got a really good alarm call. So I just sleep quite contentedly. He lets me know if anything's up.
You can just bop him on the head when the alarm goes.
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
5
exactly.
more
Yeah.
minutes.
But you're welcome to set up watches if you desire.
Kay is
But I'm
like
gonna sleep.
unresponsive in a tiny little ball.
Yeah.
You could just pitch the tent around Kay.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
And I
Well,
think
I'm gonna,
Nautia will
I'm gonna-
take a moment to top off everyone's water bottles before we go to sleep as well.
Solid.
Can Nadia produce hot water?
It doesn't actually specify, does it?
At one of the lodges in the cloud forest, because it gets chilly at night, they actually give you a hot water bottle to put in your mattress. And every
Aw.
time I sleep there, I literally like wake up curled around it in my like little onesie. And I'm like,
So Nadia and Cedric, are you doing watches, or are you also just relying on the lemming?
I mean, he's the expert, so
Yeah, I
I mean,
guess.
Bika's pretty loud, so I think we'll all hear it. And
works for me.
is
I'm
Beacon
beat.
yeah.
nocturnal?
That's kind of, I never really thought. I've only seen them in the day, I guess, but I mean, they're prey animals, so they'll wake up at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If anything comes near their den.
Technically, so are we in this world. We are also
Yeah,
prey
that's
animals.
true. That's true.
Alrighty.
I mean, Bjarta is quite like cold-hardened and used to this terrain, so he's happy to just crawl into the hollow under the rock and just
Yes.
sleep. I don't think he'd given any thought to this idea of watches or
Mhm.
tents.
Yeah.
Or...
Fair enough.
I mean, that also sounds like there must not be a lot of threats. So,
Not too
Yeah,
many
well,
of those
yeah.
spicy centipedes around.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably quite rare.
All right.
Although it sounds like you're wanting some heat, so maybe one of those would do the trick.
Ooh.
Yeah.
no, thank you.
No, thank you. All right. Yeah. So you all sleep through the night. Bika does not go off screaming.
Yay.
So you get a full night's rest, which means Kay, you are no longer fatigued. And you wake up, and there's frost everywhere because it was cold.
Mm. Don't like it.
Mm-hmm. But between the shelter that Bjarta found for you and your nice new clothes and huddling together, you did okay.
And the tent.
And the tent. Yeah, it's probably not something you want to do all the time, but, like, you did okay. I like the cold during the daytime, but I am a baby when it comes to winter camping. Like, sleeping in the cold, waking up in the cold.
Yeah. No, I keep, because, like, theoretically, like, because your body temperature lowers when you go to sleep, so theoretically you need to be a little bit cold to go to sleep or cooler. And, like, I definitely have now had enough experience with, like, yeah, if it's too warm, I sleep worse.
Yeah.
But I can't sleep when I'm super cold. I'm just like, I get cranky.
I love to be icy cold when I sleep.
Yeah. See, that's supposed to be the way it works. And I don't know if it's just me, because, like, that's one of the, like, that thermoregulation is one of the things that's busted. I have narcolepsy, so one of the things affected by that is thermoregulation. But yeah, it's like I will sometimes get sleepy when I'm cold. But, like, if I need to sleep, the cold will keep me up.
Yeah. Well, in any case, the sun sort of, like, peaks between the mountains, you know, like, you don't see just, like, a sunrise nicely because there's a lot of peaks in this mountain range, and a lot of them are fairly steep. There are some that are, you know, flatter and shallow where there's a lot of variation, and you were in this mountain range before, just farther south. So, like, you're familiar with the basic, you know, sort of, like, structure of the way the peaks are arranged. But yeah, the sun starts to shine between the peaks, and you all wake up.
Nice.
It is another day on the tundra.
You're right.
So I think the first thing that Bjarta wants to do, he's someone that gets up early and, again, wants to make use of, like, when the ground is still crunchy and solid and not when it starts to thaw. But I want to say that he's gathering some, you know, some of the dried mosses and things that were sheltered from the frost, and trying to heat up, you know, make at least a small enough fire to heat up a bit of water to make some tea from, like, the herbs that we found. So we can at least have, like, a hot beverage, because I personally will not go on the tundra without a hot beverage. So just the idea of doing it even fictionally is, like, deeply upsetting.
Yeah.
We're going to try.
That's the one thing that makes winter camping okay, is the idea of, like, waking up to, like, a mug of hot cocoa and a bowl of oatmeal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, like, half of my backpack weight is probably coffee when I'm out.
Yeah.
I will say we found another use for that hot coffee so I worked on a film a few years ago in February in Texas, but it was pretty cold for a chunk of it, and one of those days was one where we were filming sort of a chase scene with a guy who wasn't wearing a whole lot. It was not supposed to be cold in the setting, and so this poor guy, like, we had to keep putting mud on him to keep him, you know, sort of grimy, and we'd had a thermos full of coffee for people to just drink that we're taking with us, that we were keeping stocked mostly for us, but then I realized at some point that I could pour a little bit of that nice dark brown coffee in the cup full of mud and make the mud suck a little bit less for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a great idea.
Then we'd have him go film his thing while covered in coffee mud, and then run back and put the robe back on him.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the audience made a great suggestion / question, I guess. It says, I was going to ask how Bjarta keeps his coffee warm up there, but he probably just wraps it in his wool, huh?
No time for it to go cold.
No time.
He just, you know,
he's gotta drink it fast. But I mean, the wool is very insulative.
But yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, so kind of the traditional sort of coffee, I guess, utensils are wood. You know, they're usually carved out of birch, because that's usually the tree line before you get into tundra. It's usually birch forest. So there's a lot, like, you have a lot of birch utensils and birch coffee mugs and, like, coffee bags. So he definitely has, like, some supplies for keeping. I mean, maybe coffee. I don't know he's going to get coffee beans, right? So
no, he doesn't have coffee, but
it's more like tea. tundra herb tea, right?
Yeah,
that'll have to suffice.
Well, I know. Oh God, I can't remember the name of that was it like Mormon tea? That plant grows in
ephedra?
like that grows in like the high cold desert. So I wonder if you might be able to find, like, I don't know if ephedra grows like near or in the tundra too.
There's like Labrador tea is like the big one.
Oh, there you
If
go.
I remember right. Yeah, I think it's Labrador tea leaves that is usually used in the tundra.
That works.
I could look it up. But basically, he's down anything that's like edible, just steep it in some hot water and
I mean, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Works for
just
me.
flavor the hot water.
I feel like there's a lot of like spruce tip tea up in at least the
Oh yeah.
or
Yeah.
the North American Arctic.
Yeah. Yeah, so Labrador tea is a common name for 3 closely related plant species in the genus Rhododendron.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
And the herbal tea is made from their leaves. So the plant is actually called Labrador tea.
Peter and I both went, oh, because other
Yeah.
rhododendrons are poisonous.
Yeah, right?
Well,
so
there's
yeah.
quite a lot of there are like rhododendron species in the tundra that I'm pretty sure people eat.
Interesting.
Yeah. Cool.
That's
I mean, yeah, I think
cool.
Labrador tea is the big one. I think that's circumpolar. I think you can find it. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like used in a lot of like indigenous cuisine.
That's cool.
But it looks like tiny rhododendron. Yeah, that's so bizarre.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, like
It's
little
so
like
small. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really funny the flowers you'll find in the tundra. Like, they are often very, very tiny, but extremely intricate. Like ones that
Yeah.
are like literally this big, and you look up close, and it looks like a perfect little orchid. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I have so many like close-up macro shots of the tiniest cute flowers.
They're so delicate, and they absolutely look like they should not be able to survive in that environment.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And a lot
And then
of them
bees
are...
that are this big are
Yeah.
like trying to like pollinate them, and it's
Yeah.
like like way bigger than the flowers.
Mhm.
I have
All right.
no idea. It's so cool.
Do you all also partake in the tea that Bjarte is brewing?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
making enough for
It's
everybody.
Oh,
Warm
absolutely.
us all up.
Then. Yeah.
Got to warm up the joints before starting our hike.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I imagine I am pretty stiff.
Yeah.
Between
Pretty
getting
sure-
pummeled by rocks and snow yesterday and sleeping in the cold.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I like dislocated something yesterday. Yeah.
And oh yeah, and if you weren't at full hit points, you get your level back from sleeping.
That helps.
Hmm. Oh yeah, because like, have we?
You've
I
slept.
was just thinking, have we seen enough water around that I could
Like
go regenerate?
Bjarte had been showing you streams to drink from and stuff. So yeah, I think you could probably sort of wriggle around in a bigger.
Yeah, I
stream
think
and
at some
heal.
point she had a very
Wallow, have a
brisk
wallow.
dip.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
cold too.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what are you
As-
talking about? You were buried in water yesterday, so
I was buried in snow, but I was like, does it count?
okay. So I'm curious. The elemental plane of water,
Oh my
Nadia's homeland.
Mhm.
Mhm,
Is
mhm.
there ice there?
I had always sort of assumed that it was sort of a consistent temperature.
That's what I would guess too, especially because you had a conversation about there not being a top.
Yeah, like,
where
there's
would
not
the
a
ice go?
sky.
Right?
Yeah,
What?
because like if there's not like an up and down, also that means there's not like a depth farther away from
Sure.
a
Right.
sun,
Yeah.
and there's not like weather if there's not like an air layer at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, yeah, that was
Cool.
sort of my assumption, was that it's just water.
Mm-hmm.
It's just water and watery things. And if you start thinking about it too hard, you kind of just get lost.
Honestly,
like-
of all the planes, the plane of water is not the one that's the hardest to comprehend. Let's just.
Well, because it's just that thing, because you start, because basically it's just like there's this base level of, it's very simple. It's all water.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, is the water contained in something, or is it just it's just all water?
Right. Well, but I mean,
Yeah,
like, the plane of air doesn't have a bottom. Right? It's just air and things made of air. Like,
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
at least the plane of water, there is like a sea floor, but like,
Oh, there is a bottom.
Is there?
I imagine in some places there must be a sea floor, right?
If there's not a top, would there be a bottom?
For storytelling reasons, I feel like you need to have a sea floor to like put buildings on and stuff, right?
Well, how do the air people build their buildings?
Floating buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just
Why wouldn't you
drifting.
have like floating buildings
Yeah, I don't
in the
know.
ocean?
This is a Planescape question, and we are not playing Planescape right now.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right.
I've been very happy to sort of brush across those thoughts and then just go, no, it's just water.
Everything
It's
about
just all
Nautia
water
is,
and
how does
bye."
this work?
No,
I feel like
this does.
this is the conversation that we are having as we are doing our morning walk. It's just like
Yeah,
Nadia
right, yeah.
being like, I don't really
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, there was snow.
I don't remember cold.
So like maybe there's cold and you just never went to that part that
It
had
could
cold.
be, yeah. I mean, like, it's a big world, just like this one, right? So,
Ugh.
like, it might have cold.
When you're swimming in a lake and all of a sudden you hit a random cold patch. Ugh.
Super weird,
Yeah.
right?
There are many reasons I don't like swimming in natural bodies of water.
That is the least of them, probably.
I grew up in Galveston, Texas. I didn't understand what a beach was supposed to look like until I went to Spain in college.
Oh.
Mhm.
I was thinking of
And I
living
went-
in the South and thinking about like flesh-eating amoebas in the water and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, there's all kinds of
no.
terrible things in the water in the Gulf of Mexico. Are you kidding me? Especially around the Houston Ship Channel. We got that good Delta, Mississippi Delta river silt, so the water is always very murky brown. And
Well, you're welcome
you
to
just know
come.
you-
You're
Yeah,
welcome to come swim in the fjord by my place.
Yeah, right.
Ooh,
It's
fjord.
You
refreshing.
can come.
yeah.
You
How
can
cold
come
is
swim
that
in
water?
one of the Amazon tributaries near my place.
Yes, perfect. So we can hit all the different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I think we're hiking. We're talking about metaphysical questions about water.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
subscription. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you're walking, again, like it's, you know, it's physically difficult, even with the ground still solid and easier to walk on. And there's definitely more snow and ice now. And you get to one of those deceptive landscape patches, I think, but Bjarte, you recognize it pretty quickly and easily. This is an ice field. Which has its own set of dangers that you haven't encountered with this group previously. So you're going to have to do some teaching here as well.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Also, there are kittens doing kitten things in the background if you
Oh,
hear
no.
weird noises. Sorry.
It's all good. So my experience working on ice, that's the only thing I can draw on, so I don't know if it matches what you're describing. But my experience walking on ice, the most deceptive thing is that you don't know what's actually underneath you. So you could be walking on a stream and have no idea that you're walking over a river, right? And so if something were to give way, if you don't get across like quickly enough, because it thaws really fast. When I've been out hiking, you know, I've gone up the mountain and I didn't need snowshoes or anything, so it was so hard. And on the way back, there was a river that I walked on the way up, and I didn't even realize it. It thaws fast, so I think Bjarte is, you know, trying to keep an eye on what the ice feels like. And trying to just keep your footing. You have to walk slow but deliberate, or like quickly but deliberate. I mean,
Yeah.
And just be aware of like any potential weak spots, because if you bottom out in that, you really can't get back out easily. So, I don't want to scare anyone in the group. That is like, especially since they're already like averse to cold.
Yeah.
So, I think we're just trying to poke our way, and I think I might be letting Vika also walk rather than be carried,
Okay.
because they're very good. Rodents are very good at actually navigating things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I've got got him on duty too.
So what would you say to these newbies when you encounter this ice field?
I would say that it's important to trust your footing. Don't like overthink it. Try and be deliberate where you're putting your feet. Maybe follow the person in front of you. Try going like single file, because the person in front of you will be able to tell if it feels off, and I'll be in front. So just like follow me and Bika, and if anything feels wrong, then tell me right away.
All right.
And how good are the muskox on the ice?
They're not too bad on ice. They're bad in deep snow.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have those short legs, they bottom out. But and they're also heavy. Like reindeer, for example, can fly across deep snow, right? But the muskox don't do so well. They actually avoid it. They'll avoid deep snow. But like hard packed snow and ice, they've got really almost like ice, not ice picks, but like they can like crack ice. They do something called cratering, where they can like crack through it.
Yeah.
And that's how they access food underneath ice as well. So they're actually very stable on such things. They just they avoid deep snow, but they're pretty stable on ice.
Yeah, that's really cool. So in that case, as you all start to cross this ice field area, I'll need everybody to make a balance check. But Bjarta, because you have experience with all of this, you'll make your balance check at a +4. Or you add +4 to whatever your balance normally is.
Okay. That's dexterity, huh?
Huh.
+4 -2. 16.
Okay.
It was it's dexterity, right? Because I get a -2 there.
Yeah.
Okay, so +2. Yeah, 16.
16. Kay got a 14. Is that what you said? Nadia?
12.
Cedric?
9.
Nice.
Amazing. So Bika making his way across just fine. Bjarta slow and steady behind that. Kay, you are like, again, you like, it snows in New Seychester, so like you've been on ice before and stuff, but like this is a lot of ice. So you're very like gingerly picking your way along and doing that thing, like if you go out on like an ice rink in your sneakers where you like kind of like funny slip. Yeah. So you're like, you're not like hardcore falling, but you're struggling a bit. Nautia, you take a few hard falls, and Cedric, you just completely eat it. And because this is like slightly angled, you start like sliding down the slope away from everybody.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, God. No. Well, I think can Bjarta go and make a grab for him, because he's quite stable, and try and right him.
Okay. Make a you can both make reflex saves to sort of like do the forearm grab thing to save him.
Yeah. All right.
Oh no! They both are making faces. I'm excited.
I got a 2.
I got a 7. So
Good. Do we have any audience rewards?
Can Kay like see this happen and like throw rope to him?
We don't have any audience rewards to help the players. They're on their own.
Oh,
can I see this happen and like throw rope to him?
Make a reflex save.
Okay.
Nadia's definitely.
Nope, I rolled a 1. You're on your own.
This ice is treacherous.
Adding insult.
Welcome to traveling with us. It's amazing we've made it at all, really.
Oh my god.
All right.
Adding
You
insult
can see
to
Nadia
injury.
go to like make the movement to fly.
Yeah.
Realize she can't, and then start trying to get the heavy stuff off so that she can get her wings out.
Amazing.
I feel like Kay slips and falls when she tries to get out of the rope and throws in the
That's exactly
So-
what that natural one was.
So you slip and fall. Nadia's flustered. Bjarta didn't reach far enough, and adding insult to injury, Kay throws the rope and it hits Cedric in the eye. as he goes
I hit him.
sliding away. So you've taken a combined 8 points of damage between bludgeoning and sort of like scrapes from falling and then going way down the slope.
Oh jeez.
Am I gonna keep sliding, or am I?
It's not like you're gonna like Looney Tunes woo off a cliff or whatever.
Okay.
You're gonna like hit terminal velocity, just
right, yeah. Like eventually you hit some sort of, a shrub or something that sort of like stops you. But it's not.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Extremely
think
dignified.
I think if anything, I'm gonna pull out my huitel and try and like use that, like slam it into the ice and try and like use that
thing's
to
a
kind of like slow my.
I like it.
You want to describe what Bjarta sees you pull out of your bag?
I have no idea what this thing is.
Yeah, so
Wild.
like Cedric's basically wearing he's wearing a warhammer kind of at his hip. And then he's got like a bunch of stuff like basically like tucked up underneath his woolen kind of cloak. And you basically see him pull out this like massive wooden club carved out of this probably a bigger piece of wood than you've ever seen, like living up in up north, covered in these like dark chunks of obsidian, sharp obsidian, or embedded into this piece of wood.
It's basically like if you made a chainsaw blade out of obsidian and then put that on a sword handle. Like...
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a cricket bat.
Yeah,
but covered in sharp pieces of obsidian.
But that probably does really well.
It will probably work. Yeah.
Well, so it does. But the thing about the obsidian is it's really sharp and also really brittle. So depending on how you do this, you could break off a bunch of the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So do I have to roll for it? What do you? Or
what are you doing with
I'm just trying to slow my like.
Oh yeah, no, you don't
like
like
pick.
Yeah, you do like stop eventually, so you don't have to like slam it out or whatever.
Okay.
But if you wanna, depending on how you want to use it, you might have to roll to see if you break it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I just want to use it to kind of slow. I just want to like stick it in the ice to try and slow.
Yeah, you can kind of like, like that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And how many points of damage did you say I took?
8 total.
Okay.
Yeah. Bruised your tailbone, got some scratches and scrapes. Your eye is sore.
Yeah.
You didn't blink in time.
I had pulled my shoulder yesterday, and now I've done it again. Like, it's.
This place sucks.
Yeah.
I have actually slid down the ice like that out in the field in April, but it was on purpose because I was having a hard time getting down and finding the trail because it had thawed, and so I was bottoming out in the snow and couldn't get out, like when you just fall through it, and that kept happening. So I found a really icy part that was impossible to walk on, and I just sat down and just scooted down. And I was like, I gotta get off this mountain somehow. So.
How many points of damage did you take?
Enough. I feel great the next day.
All right, but you safely crossed this patch of ice.
I imagine everyone has to wait
Safely.
for me to like hike back up. Meet them on the other side.
This is a good lesson in why you should not actually, if you're crossing things like that, not tie a rope to everybody. One person goes down, everybody goes down.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But the little group continues hiking through the mountains, and we will catch up with them next time, which is next week, because it is almost time for today. And I don't know if I'm hallucinating this or if this is correct. Is next week daylight savings time?
Ooh.
I thought I said it was
I think
November.
it's after Halloween.
Is it after Halloween?
They
I
moved
looked
it
it
to
up
after
today.
Halloween.
Okay. Then
I think it's different. I have a different daylight savings than you.
Oh,
do.
good.
It is November 6th here in the States.
Okay.
I don't have daylight savings time at all.
I know. We are playing on
that's
November 6th, but that is not the next time. Next time is next Sunday, October 23rd. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
I can do
23rd.
math. 23rd.
My daylight savings is on the 30th.
Oh, well, there
so-
you go. Haha.
You guys don't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so thank you so much to everybody who hung out with us today and watched. I hope you enjoyed learning about lemmings and muskox and avalanches and tundra berries and stuff. So much cool stuff packed into an episode. Yeah, and we'll be back with Bjarta the Survivalist and our erstwhile party of adventurers. So they make their way through the mountains next Sunday. So please come back and check that out. In the meantime, let's see if there's is there anybody around to raid? My friend Darby, who's also on the cast of the First Watch with me, who plays Peony, one of my character's bestest friends. Let's go raid Darby. I don't know what she's doing, but she's usually doing something chaotic and hilarious. So you all can go over and say hi to her. But we will see you next time. Bye.
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 Bye.